Look at the tangularity. Hello, everyone. Hey, hello. It is Friday. No, it's not Friday. What the hell? Wow. Hello. Start with coffee. Where do you mean to go on? Hello, everyone. It is Sunday. It seems a little dark in here, but I don't know why. Oh, there's a light not on. God damn it. Should we start again? Hey, everyone. Fox, the model making guru here. Hello. It is the Sunday. Welcome to Warhammer Sunday. Weren't we just here yesterday? I'm sure we were. Yes, welcome to another Warhammer Sunday where I crack on with building either my own army or anything else basically to do with Warhammer. And as you can see, we are carrying on with a Banebladeulaaaarity big tank. Hang on. Let me just restart my brain. Hang on. Right. Hey everyone, it's Fox, your model making guru here. Hello and welcome to another Warhammer Sunday. Don't know why that all happened. Yes, welcome. We're going to be cracking on with the Baneblade, carrying on making this and getting it all built up. There we go. Now, first and foremost, as always, before we do anything, it's my responsibility to give a shout out to all the people, the lovely people that make all my content possible, because I do this for a living and they make it possible for me to do that. Otherwise, I'd have to go and get a job and I wouldn't be able to do any of this. So massive thank you to my patrons and my YouTube channel members. My patrons who support me by going to patreon.com/modelmakingguru. The address is just there if you want to become one. And my YouTube channel members who became a member by just simply pressing the join button at the bottom of any one of my videos. They all pay my bills, they pay my wages, they put food on my table, and they make all this possible. So big massive thank you to them, the lovely people. And of course to my corporate supporters, emodels.co.uk and goblingaming.co.uk, both your one-stop shop for all your model making and tabletop gaming needs. Check out their links in the description below the video and use those links. It tells them I sent you and I get some income from that. So do make sure to check those out as well. Now, as always, it's one of my streams, so it's all about you guys hanging out in chat and having a good time. So if you are watching this, please do consider coming to join the live chat. You can see the live chat there, the archive of it. It's just there. It's about 30 seconds, a minute behind. But if you want to, you can come and join the live chat. You need to be on YouTube, so if you're watching this embedded somewhere else, then click on the YouTube button that's in the bottom right-hand corner of the player, and that'll take you to YouTube, where you can continue watching and join in the chatty. So do come and join in. Yeah, I shall put Guthorm in his place. You can see I've managed to find a way to get Squishy in the shot as well. The Squishy and Guthorm together, but best buds they are now. They're best buds, although he does tend to get a bit stuck to Guthorm's feathers, but he doesn't mind so much. It washes out. So Squishy and Guthorm, best friends forever, keeping an eye on the chat. Or rather, Squishy's just kind of looking at me adoringly, and Guthorm's kind of reading the chat. So we'll see how it goes. But yes, welcome to those two. Now, we are going to carry on with the Baneblade today. What did we do yesterday? We added the coaxial gun and a periscopy bit there. Shut up. We sorted out the demolisher cannon, which sits there. We glued on some rivets that we had to sand those off because I was being lazy. So I've replaced the rivets with new rivets. And we added these bit at the back. I've not glued this one on, this panel at the back here. You can see that's still just loose. I probably should put it in something, otherwise I will lose it. But I'm going to have to paint inside there first and then put this back on. So I might leave it unglued. I don't know. That's glued on. I don't know yet. So we're going to crack on today, and I think today is mostly accessories, so stuff to do on the turret. We've got the stowage box on the back and some antennae and exhausts. And then we're on to sponsons for like the rest of the day. So it's all sponsons all the time today. So I'll put this over there. I don't need the big body going on. Nice big body. So how is everyone? I hope you're all well. I'll have a quick look at chat and see who is in. I think we've still got people coming over from Colin and Dave's chat stream. So yeah, if you weren't watching, you should make sure you watch Colin and Dave's stream on Festa 67's workshop. That's on before mine. Starts at 12:30. You always watch that first and then come and watch this. It's a good place to hang out. We have the Raging Modeler comes in and says Agadoo and is instantly banned. Timothy Kalako is in. Welcome, Timothy. Nim Cinderin and Wendy Hickson. Welcome to both of you two. Raging Modeler's in as well. Welcome to you. Where are we? We have Dad at Scaly Models is in. Hey Dad, how you doing, my friend? Big hugs. He says, and he's not in the green room now though, because on Colin's Sunday morning stream, Sunday afternoon stream, before this one, he hangs out in there. They do a StreamYard. Look at the state of this. dust everywhere. They do a StreamYard chat because it's Colin and Dave. This isn't a StreamYard thing because it's just me. So there's nowhere for anybody to hang out. But yes, Dad hangs out in the background and moderates their chat. Whereas on this one, he just hangs out in the chat because it's not a StreamYard thing. So yeah, I am hoping at some point in the future, maybe we'll see how it goes. I do have access to StreamYard, and I have to have a look at trying to figure out if my computer can handle doing a StreamYard stream with all the little bits and bells and whistles, but I think it should. But I've got to figure out how to use it, because I do it at some point. I would like to at some point sort of do a bit like Chris and Ted do some like stuff with Colin sometimes. Maybe we share a stream on his channel, share a stream on this channel on a Sunday. I don't know, when he starts his Baneblade, I don't know, or anything really. We'll just hang out. That would be nice. Or to do hangout streams with other people, because it's nice. I enjoy doing my own streams, but it would be nice sometimes to have a sidekick or an oppo or somebody else there to have a back and forth with, just sometimes. So I must investigate that. Chris Gross Models has done me a video how to use Streamlabs and StreamYard, but I didn't understand it. I'm far too stupid, I think. Where are we? Talking about paints. Who else we got in? Who else has come in? JS Idaho is in. Good day, everyone, and I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. And you too, my friend. I hope you had a good Christmas. Talking about Army Painter paints, shaking them a lot. Skill Model Muse is in. Welcome, Muse, my friend. We have anybody else still talking about Army Painter paints? William Rayborn's in. Good morning, says William. Welcome, William. How you doing, my buddy? 'Tis dry here, says Timothy. My environment is the low desert of the American Southwest. 'Tis dry. Yeah. Dry can be an issue. Yeah, that will affect paints. If it's very hot and dry, if it's very hot and humid or very hot and very dry, that can affect your paints. If it's very hot and humid, paints can actually take on water as they go from the airbrush to the model. And that can really kill a paint job. Or if you're brush painting, it can sometimes take the paints longer to cure and dry, and they don't quite settle down properly. Especially airbrushing, if it's really humid, or if you're using a rattle can, you should never spray outside if it's drippingly humid, because you're just going to put water in the paint and it's going to make a terrible messy paint job. Consecutively, or alternatively, on the other hand, if it's very, very dry, so like the complete opposite, if it's hot and very dry, then the paint's going to dry before it hits the model. Goes from your airbrush or rattle can, it's going to dry out completely, and you're just basically putting a powder on it, and it's going to come off and not settle properly, and won't level, and it'll be rough and puffy, and yeah, especially varnishes, they'll come out powdery. So one of those things you really want to just have it. It doesn't matter if it's warm and nice and sunny, or it doesn't matter if it's I've been outside and done rattle can varnishing when it's been like, minus 2 degrees and been raining, but stopped after about, waited till it stopped raining. As long as it's not super humid, it doesn't matter if it's damp. As long as the air is not humid. It's kind of hard to explain, but you get there. You figure it out. There's a light not on. Click. Whom. There's my model works. Exactly. Tuma Hashibra's in. Welcome, Tuma. It says, hey, everyone. My niece and her boyfriend are just getting into Warhammer. I'm wanting to help them out with something like starter kits if they exist, and or paints. Any suggestions? Absolutely. They do some very simple starter kits, which are, for example, you get like 3 or 4 Space Marines and a small selection of paints. But they're the real basic bare minimum paints that you need to paint them. If you want to give them something really special, they do have a lot of sets called, now they used to be called start collecting sets. Over here in the UK, they're about 50 quid, and you get a whole squad of people, or dudes or whatever, for a lot cheaper than normal. And you get a nice little squad. If they're really looking at into doing, if they're looking at playing the game, they're really quite handy. They're the best bang for the buck because you get a lot of stuff for the least price, and you can get some paints and stuff as well. I don't know what they're called now. I've forgotten now. They're called Battle Forces or something. I can't remember. If someone in chat can remind me, because they've changed them now. But if you have a look on the Games Workshop website, for example, or your local store, and look for the start collecting sets, they do some sort of sets with models and paints, but they're like a couple of models and a couple of small pots of paint, so they don't really tell you what the paints are, and they're only like they're not brilliant. They're good for kids, but yeah, if they're not young kids, I'd say a start collecting set might be your best bet. Or even if the best thing you can do, because if someone's getting into it, you want them to have an enthusiasm for it, you could just set them loose on the Games Workshop website and say, right, what tickles your fancy? What would you like the look of? the way to do it. That way, at least you get the model that you know they want, and then you can get some paints to go with it. Also, if you have a Games Workshop store nearby, you can always go and pick their brains, because they'll let you know what colours and things and paints you might need. They'll probably try and sell you more than you need, but there you go. But I'm sure also people in chat will give you lots of advice. So everybody feel free to pile on and dogpile it and tell Tuma lots of advice. It's really warm in here today. I do apologise if I go a bit loopy. It's really warm for some reason. You broke Foxy. After the Baneblade, will we see the Land Raider build? Yes, for Christmas I got the Land Raider Crusader. Yes. Yes, I do have that to build. But I also have lots of other things to build. I might do that one next. I don't know yet, though. I don't know. When I do that Land Raider, I'm obviously building up Death Corps of Krieg. And I do need to finish my Lehman Russ my Lehman Russ tabletop. I haven't even touched this in weeks. My tabletop trauma center Lehman Russ. I can't even speak. The words, they're not coming. That gun's not turning. So I do need to get that finished. Once that's done, I don't know whether to do. I might do that Land Raider, but when I do the Land Raider, that's going to be for I'm going to do some Space Wolves, Space Puppies. So when I do Space Marines, they're going to be Space Wolves for me. So that's going to be Space Wolves. But everything else I'm doing is either going to be Astra Militarum or Death Corps of Krieg. This Baneblade is going to be Death Corps of Krieg. I also have a Valkyrie to do as well, so I might do that. I don't know. I've got to start getting the stash down and reduced. Ray Aquilina's in. Welcome, Ray. George is in. Hey, George. How you doing? Big hugs, my friend. Did you try unplugging yourself and then plugging yourself back in? Yeah, but it leaves an awful mess. Takes hours to dry out. Brian Windmill is in. Welcome, Brian. How you doing, my friend? I bought the Intercessors starter set, says Timothy. Yep, that's quite a good little set. Like I say, you do get the little ones where you get a small number of figures and some basic paints. And they're a good little, tiny little way to get in if you're an absolute beginner. But if they've got a little bit of painting skills or they want to get into the game playing, you could get them a start collecting. But like I say, let's see what people in chat suggest as well. Oh yeah, Timothy says, I bought the Intercessors starter set and instantly fell into the addiction. It's easy to do. It is, yes. Very easy to do. Oof, I need some breakfast, says Timothy. Food is always good. Opening grill hatch. Any way to do it as an hinge, says Mayhem. No, it's not got a jointed hinge. It's like a friction fit. These little nubs sit in those little U-shaped bits there, and it just literally stays in place, he says, as it falls off. So you can literally, you could put it there and glue it into a position, and it will kind of sit there, but if I intend on eventually one day maybe playing this on the tabletop, I'm going to have to glue it down really, because it'll just get lost or broken or fall off. It's not really the kind of thing you'd have open, and then it's driving around on the tabletop doing shooting things, so yeah, I don't know yet. The other thing to look at as well if they want to get into Warhammer is, don't forget, of course, there's not just 40k, which is your tanks and space marines and guns and stuff. There's also Age of Sigmar, which is more fantasy oriented. So again, it's just worth having a look at getting them to go through the online store and say taking them into a store and saying, here we are, we're in the store, you pick what you want to build and I'll pay for it. Because they might suddenly decide that they want to go and do some Skaven or some Undead or some whatever the Sigmar things are. So there's a whole different side of Warhammer that's more fantasy aimed, that they might prefer that. You never know, because everybody thinks Warhammer is like Space Marines, and that's it. Not. We were saying this in a chat earlier on. It's people say, I don't like Warhammer, it's all Space Marines and stuff, and then they look at what's actually available and they go, oh, I didn't know any of that, and suddenly they're interested. Space Hamster's in. Probably not going to stick around long today, but I wanted to drop by. Thank you for popping in. Hope you do get to stay for a while, but welcome. Wayne Haywood says Merry Christmas. Sorry, doesn't he? Says Happy Xmas to everybody. Who else have we got? Edward Leonard's in. Hey, Edward. Timothy says Walmart substituted half a dozen large eggs with 18 jumbos, so time for pickled eggs. Oh, yes. Mayhem says, I think it's Battle Forces. Yeah, they have the start collecting sets, which were usually a squad of dudes. The bare minimum you would need to play a game, basically, with massively reduced price. You would get, for example, the Astra Militarum one is a Lehman Russ tank, so one of these. with a squad of 10 dudes and a sergeant and a couple of heavy weapons squads, which is about 70 or 80 quid's worth of plastic, but they used to charge 50 quid for it. So the start collecting things, if you wanted to get into the game, were a great way to get started with the painting of the building and also the gameplay, because it was usually a minimal sized squad. But they've changed those now. They're now called, we think, battle forces, which are slightly bigger, a bit more expensive, not quite as much of a saving, but it's still like a small force that you can play a game with if you wanted to. But it still represents a saving than if you just bought all the stuff independently. The start collecting are still called start collecting when I look them up. Yeah, I think there's still lots of them in existence, but I think gradually they're going to phase them out. I think that's what's happening. Edwin Lennon says, I just had a water problem. My moisture trap was not working correctly and I ruined a few paint jobs because of it, but I finally figured it out. Yeah, the moisture trap, if you're using an airbrush, you absolutely have to get a moisture trap. Because if you, I've done it before I even knew about that. I was spraying stuff and a compressor compresses the air and uncompresses it, and that generates condensation because of the temperature drop. And you get a little drop of water in your paint when you're spraying it, and it's like pfft, ruined. There's no way around it. Yeah. Combat patrols, that might be it. Combat patrols. Yeah, battle forces are the big sort of short-term, big, massive ones. It might be combat patrols. I'm here, you may begin now, says 9,000 mince pies. The 40k boxes will eventually become combat patrols. It makes sense with the new Crusader mode. Yeah, so yeah, there's battle forces, sorry, they are the big, expensive ones. They're out for a couple of months. It's the combat patrols. That's the one I was looking for. Not stabbed myself yet, Dan. Lee Stevenson. Start Collect is still available, as I'm likely to be getting a set on Tuesday. Yeah, I think they're kind of running down the stock until they replace each Start Collecting set with a similar combat patrol. I know they've done Space Wolves, I think, and they've done a couple of other Space Marine ones. Sent them a link to e-models. We're in the US, but at least getting ideas, and found out there is a new store here simply called Warhammer. It sells almost exclusively Warhammer stuff, going there soon. Yeah, e-models are one of my channel supporters, but they don't have a massive stock of Warhammer stuff just yet. But yeah, there are 500 or 600 Games Workshop stores. They're just called Warhammer, and they sell exclusively 40k and Age of Sigmar, just the Warhammer stuff. So if they're really looking to get a feel for what's available, send them to gamesworkshop.com. It's Games Workshop's website. You've got everything on there: Age of Sigmar and Games Workshop's Warhammer 40k, and then yeah, just go along to the local Warhammer store and take a lot of money because you'll spend a lot. Right, I need to. I'm sweating like an absolute. I think Mama Fox has got all the heating in the world on. It's very warm. Okay, moist. Yes, never played Warhammer, so this is all new to me as well. Says Tuma. Absolutely, I've never played it. I'm just like making the models. I will play it at some point. But yes, Warhammer stores are. There's Warhammer stores which are officially Games Workshop owned stores, and they sell just 40k and Age of Sigmar. There's also like third-party stores that happen to sell, that license to sell Warhammer stuff, and they sell lots of other things as well. But if it's 40k or Age of Sigmar they're interested in, just bob them along to the Games Workshop website. You'll have a good time. But yeah, Warhammer stores are great. Just take your spending wallet. You may get some better deals. Where are we? Lee says your local Warhammer stores may be more expensive. Find a local FLGS. Yeah, Warhammer stores sell them at RRP. Third-party independent game stores often sell them a bit cheaper. So you can get better deals at smaller independent game stores. You might see other things as well. Right, so anyway, let's shut up, Fox. Let's do some work. Frantically writes all the info down. Cool beans, says Tuma. Oh yeah. Ask any questions you want. That's what these streams are basically. I always make my chat and ask me anything. So any questions? If you are watching, by the way, and you are in chat and you want to ask me a question, once I get on my lenses of seeing, don't forget, of course, chat does become a great big blur to me because I'll have my lenses of seeing on, and that will just be blur. And good as Guthorm is, Squishy's a bit oblivious to it all. But good as Guthorm is with the chat, he doesn't let me know when somebody chats something to me, really. So if you want to catch my attention while we're going along, do ask me anything. No religion, no politics, but anything else is completely fair game. Just put your chat comment in capital letters so I have a chance for it to stand out in the wash of blur. Or if you want to, you can do a super chat, which you can do by pressing the little dollar symbol button at the bottom of the chat window. That puts a coloured box in there and animates something on the screen and makes a noise, so I can't miss your comment then. But you don't have to. You can just do uppercase and capitals and stuff. Right, so anyway, let's crack on. We have to make a spotlight. I love spotlights. Spotlights are brilliant. I do like Games Workshop spotlights. They are the best. And I've got to find it on a random sprue somewhere. Let's have a look. That one. Oh, there we go. And spotlight on and sprue. So, I actually tried doing a proper spotlight paint job on something recently. Because normally I just do them as, like, you know, white with a yellow glow or something. But I tried doing a proper, like, classic GW spotlight paint job at one point. And I quite enjoyed it. I didn't do a very good job of it, but it was fun to try. So I'm looking forward to painting this great big spotlight. Right, so we need to make the spotlight, and that goes into the place. Yeah. So I'll do a quick bit of clean up. And I will keep bopping in and out of the chat, so don't panic. If you do ask me a question and I don't answer it, just give it, you know, 5 or 10 minutes and, you know, pop it in again. But make sure to use big fat capitals and all that goodness, so I have a chance to see it. Now, the downside of spotlights is you have this big mould line right down the middle, which you could get away with making it look like part of the spotlight, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sand that little puppy away. So anyway, I hope you are all well. I hope everyone is okay and still going through all the turkey. But I need to get rid of that. Hope everyone is in fine fettle today. Nothing really to report from yesterday. Obviously yesterday we had an extra stream of this here Banebladings. And I was looking forward to watching a Ted stream last night, because he said he might do a stream, but sadly he didn't in the end. So I just sat and sulked all night, because, you know. But I did sit and watch Chris and Paul over on the Team Inept YouTube channel playing another survivally type game. Not completely ineptly, but reasonably ineptly. For those that don't know, Chris over at Gross Models and my friend Paul and myself, we have a channel called Team Inept where we do, well, mostly them, they do video gaming stuff. I will be moving eventually all my video game content to that channel once it's big enough to be monetized. It's just because it's not monetized right now. I can't afford to not make that income. So do feel free to go and like and subscribe that channel if you haven't already. Yes, hope everyone is well. Hope you're all doing fine and dandy. If I didn't see you yesterday, I hope you've had a good Christmas so far. And you have received many delightful gifts, all of which you wanted, and none of which were, like, you know, socks or ties. That would be rubbish. Unless you have a thing for ties, it's entirely possible. I'm not saying that's not a thing. It's entirely possible that could be a thing, if that is your thing. What do you like? I like ties. Yes. There probably are people out there that have a thing for ties in a healthy way. I shall choose not to discuss such matters. Yeah, so I hope you've all had a good Christmas and New Year so far, if I didn't see you yesterday. If I have, then you've heard all this already. I've had a good Christmas here. It was a quiet one. Obviously, we couldn't have family over, so it's been just me and Mama Fox. It's been nice and quiet. I got a good haul of presents, including some Fox slippers. And that Land Raider you saw from my brother, which was quite nice. See, my brother's, he doesn't know anything about Warhammer and models and stuff, so when he says, what do you want for Christmas? I was like, just get me anything Warhammer. And I thought, he's not gonna know, and he's just gonna get me some vouchers, which would be fine. That's fine, not a problem at all. Because, hey, vouchers, Games Workshop vouchers are great. That's another option, by the way. Where are we? Unless somebody's already mentioned that. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's mentioned it too much. I was just checking them. If you're not sure what to get them, you can get Games Workshop vouchers. that they can use themselves in online or in the store. So if you really can't decide, just get them a load of vouchers. They can then choose their own specific models. I would say though, if they're whether they're wanting to start playing or just making the models, they don't. It's quite easy to get into the mindset that you have to get Games Workshop paints, Citadel paints for your Games Workshop models. You absolutely don't. For convenience, obviously, when you get a kit, all the colour callouts are Games Workshop colours, and all the video tutorials on the Games Workshop's Warhammer channel are Games Workshop colours. But you absolutely don't have to. You can go for other paints that are a bit cheaper. A lot of people recommend the Vallejo paints as the closest second best to the Games Workshop paints. And they are they're almost as good, not quite, but almost. But yeah, and other ones as well. But obviously, if they're in the store, it's convenient that the paints are right there while they're building the model. So, while they're starting out, it's a good place to start with anyway, with those paints, and then work your way up to other brands as you see fit. That's another thing to consider. But yeah, I'd say either take them to the store and they can go, oh my god, I need all of these things, and they will, and you need to take a lot of money because you may regret it. Or just get them some vouchers. Anyway, yeah, so my brother got me the Land Raider, which is awesome. I have decided, I built a few sort of, they said Space Invaders then. Why the hell did I say Space Invaders for? Yeah, I built some Space Invaders, some Space Marines. I've done some and painted them in a Xeon colour, and I've sent those off to George over in the US because he wanted those with the Imperial Knight, so he owns that now. But I will do some Space Marines. My real focus at the minute is Astra Militarum, my Imperial Guard. I've got lots and lots of Imperial Guard to paint. I've got lots and lots of Tempest Scions. And thanks to my own pig-headedness and determination and sulkiness, and thanks to some generosity, I do now have a sizable number of Death Corps of Krieg dudes. Will need painting up. I need to clear my throat, one sec. But I do have a selection of Space Marines, and I will have to get them painted up. And I think I've decided, because I can't avoid having Space Marines really, at some point I'm going to have to admit that I will have to have some Space Marines. I'll probably go for Space Wolves. Not because of any lore reason, and not because, you know, it's the cool thing to do, although I do like Space Wolves, but purely because I like the colour scheme. I like the light blue and the gold. It really speaks to me. You know, the Fenrisian grey and the rust grey and the other ones. I like those colours, and I think they work well together. I have painted a Storm Wolf. That's now in my local Warhammer store. It used to sit in the window, but I think it's in the storeroom at the back now. But yeah, I have painted a Storm Wolf thing. This is going to be a little bit wibbly wobbly loose. So I think for this we'll use the Dangerously Stinky Extra Fast Tamiya Cement. Because I need this to stick fastly. Put that on there. I want it to be able to be wiggleable. I need it to be wiggleable. I need it to stay in place as well. Now this glue can be quite harsh on the plastic, so I've got to be careful with it. Also, I've got to put the lid on quite quick because it stinks. Oh, it's like acetone or something. Oh, right, so we'll get that straight. Lined up. Now, if I'd done that with regular Tamiya Extra Thin, it would have stayed on. It would have stuck, but it might have fallen off a couple of times. That's now in. Another quick dash just to make sure. Oh. Like I was saying yesterday, this stuff. Oh dear. This stuff is it doesn't cure faster than regular Tamiya Extra Thin. It just kind of partly cures faster. So that will stay on now, but it's very wibbly wobbly and it melts the plastic more. So if I was to be a bit forceful with that, it would just go and snap off. And the little stem that goes in the hole would come with it. So it does work fast for putting things on that can hold their own weight, but you've got to be careful. Because if I start twisting that round, it'll just melt the stub and it'll just shear off. There we go, that's that on. I do like the fact you have this little hole in the back of these lamps. I've never figured out what's that for, but I'm always tempted to, you know, thread some cabling around it and around the stalk and into the side of the turret or something. I might do that. I don't know yet. We'll see. But I'll put this stinky boy away. Whereas the regular Tamiya cement, it would not cure and the plastic wouldn't go rock hard as quickly as with the other stuff, but it's not quite as aggressive, so it would be handleable. It's kind of weird. It's hard to explain. This cures faster than... I tried to explain this today and it doesn't really make any sense when you think about it. This is fast, this is regular. This will flash off very quickly and you may be stood there for a minute holding it in place. But within a minute or two, you can the piece would be handleable, it would be fairly secure. And it would be fully cured quite quickly because it melts the plastic and then the plastic reforms and binds together. This stuff will melt the plastic faster. Stick it together, it will kind of have a stick to it and be holding its own weight, but it will take longer for that plastic to fully cure back to solid. So it's not sometimes the best option for the fast glue. Do apologise for the coughing. Up to talking about Team Inept. I'm not going to go too far back in chat. Greetings everyone, says Candygram. Special tip of the hat to moderators, Scaly Models and George Gabriel. Always tip your moderators, otherwise they'll throw you into the sun. Arby's Burger King or Five Guys, says Nim. Dan says, we had a Warhammer store here, but a tornado took it out. Oh no. What you need to be is like walking past when all the boxes fell out of the sky. You'd be like, oh look, free Warhammer. Woo! 1 second, folks. Got a real frog in my throat today, and I don't know why. People talking about Arby's and Wendy's. I'll never forget the story my brother told me because he lives in Tennessee once, that a local Wendy's got broken into in the middle of the night. There was no one there because it was closed, but they only found out it was closed for like 3 or 4 days. It might be like Labor Day weekend or something, or I don't know. It was like closed for about 2 or 3 days. And when they came to open it, they walked in and there was a smell. And somebody had basically broken into a vent on the roof to get into the bit. I don't know why they broke into a Wendy's. Why would you break into a fast food joint? They got up on the roof, they broke into a vent and thought it was like an air conditioning duct. Gone into it and just gone straight into one of the hood vents of a massive deep fat fryer that they couldn't get out of. Spong. It may have been, I assume it was sealed from the outside, or the door was closed, so it was like an event that's built in. They just went straight down this ducting into this deep fat fryer vent, and yeah, they were there for about 4 days. Cheerful stories on a Sunday afternoon with Fox. There you go. Timothy has Swiss Colony venison sticks. Ooh. If you're not watching Team Inept's videos, you're missing out on some seriously hilarious gameplay banter from the players. Yes. I'm going to turn my brightness on my iPad up because I'm struggling to see it a bit. Burpularity. I'm now consuming a roast beef sandwich. It is good num, says 9,000 mince pies. Paul Line says, had a quiet Christmas day, just me and a few bottles of wine. Then my daughter came over yesterday, so in a way we are a day behind everyone Christmas-wise. Currently trying to eat all the party food. Yes. Mayhem says, Valley Jojo do some good colour sets for game and model. The thing with Vallejo, or Vallejo, whichever you prefer, Vallejo's correct. Vallejo do a series of paints called Vallejo Game Colour. And the rumour is, from what I've heard, that before Games Workshop, they had their paints were originally made by the same people that make the Coat d'Arms paints in Manchester here in the UK. Then they changed it to they're now made in China, I think. But before they did that, they had conversations with Vallejo about making paints for them instead. and apparently the Vallejo game colour is basically the range of paints that would have become Citadel paints had they gone with Vallejo, but they didn't. They went for China because it was cheaper, probably. So Vallejo game colour are quite similar to, maybe not all the current Citadel paints, but similar to a lot of the older paints, because they were they were potentially going to be the replacements for the Citadel range that they were making at the time. So yeah, Vallejo paints are very good. All, not just the game colours, but all of them. There are charts that show you comparisons between all the different paint types. Dad, have you asked the question yet? Jimmy says, I've got a bunch of them gift cards, vouchers for Christmas, which is actually how I found out about the store. They spend most of the rest of the day talking about what they could get. I would, if they don't really know, I'd just say go for whatever they think is cool, because there's so much to choose from. Start somewhere, and you might end up. I started off doing just Imperial Guard, and now I'm doing Deathcore, which is not even Games Workshop; it's Forge World. So yeah, all kinds of things. There's so much. Just pick whatever looks cool, whatever they think. Like, oh, I like that. As soon as you go, I like that, whatever it is, then that means you'll enjoy building it. Billy says, Army Painter paints have some awesome colours, but they can take a bit of extra effort to get them performing well. Yeah, I've heard that a bit. Like I said earlier in the comments, I'm far too lazy. I need to get the paint out of the pot or the jar or the bottle, put it on the wet palette and go. I don't want to be mixing it and adding thinners and adding flow improvers and doing this and doing that. No, that's too complicated. I need to get the paint from the container onto the wet palette and paint. That's what I want. So if it needs special treatment to get it working, I'm not buying it. Burps, pardon, Vicar. Reggie Modeler says, Games Workshop are the best paints, but dear Lord, the few game colour paints I've used so far are lovely. Definitely looking forward to putting them to good use, mixing balls in the mouth. I personally think that Games Workshop paints are the best paints for brush painting, by bar none. There are no better paints than Games Workshop acrylics. No better acrylics than Games Workshop's paints. The Citadel paints for brush painting. There are no better water-based acrylics for spraying than Vallejo. There are no better. My favourite paints overall to spray are actually Tamiya paints, but they're technically more like lacquers. So yeah, but yeah, for brush painting, Citadel paints, absolute best. There we go. Dad's asked the question. So, what's on your bench and what's in your belly? Honestly, it's only been 38 minutes, Dad. You complain when I ask it, and then I don't know. Yes, what's on your bench? What's in your belly? What you're working on right now could be anything. Doesn't have to be a model kit. Could be diamond art. Could be a drawing. You could be making shelves. You could be adjusting something that you got for Christmas that doesn't actually fit properly, like a sweater or a pair of slippers, and you just make an adjustment. You always get one. Sweater with an arm missing, or a slipper that's the wrong size, or whatever. Or whatever you're working on, what crafty thing are you doing right now? And also, what's in your belly? What have you had for your dinner, or what will you be having for your dinner? And remember, don't really care about the bench bit. It's more the belly bit I'm interested in. More all the dirty details of the food. Skillmon says, it's Vallejo, no J or Y. I've heard it. I've heard the correct pronunciation is Vallejo, because it's a Mexican word, Spanish-American word, I think. Vallejo. Or Vallejo. I'm not the best on pronunciation. But some random minis and coffee, says Muse. Fair Colin's in. Hey Colin, how you doing, my friend? Festa 67's workshop. Welcome, my friend. Good to have you in. Not the same if you're not in my chat. Bench is my master grade Fenice. Put my teeth in, get some coffee. It's not because I can't say it, it's because it's tiny text. Bench is my master grade Fenice or Ritasita. Finally got the mojo back. Belly, I'm still deciding on where to order from. Coffee and coffee, says Spid. Welcome, Spid. No food yet, not sure what I want, says Muse. I'll put the kettle on, old chap. Good stream today, dude, says Raging Modeler. Colin. Yeah, it was a good stream today. 38 minutes, Fox get building. I've already built that. I've done the spotlight. Shut up. Waves at all who said hi, says Col. Yeah. See, so all is right with the world now. Colin's in the chat. I know you've had a busy 3 days, so I was really glad you did a stream today, and I'm glad you can make it now. Bench is a Raging Heroes mini, says Phil East, and the belly is Christmas leftovers. Be the same. I'll be the same answer for weeks, that. No Y in there, says Muse. I'll have to double check. I've heard it. So many different pronunciations. I've always kind of said it Vallejo, but then I heard some people say Vallejo, and I'm like, okay, because like paella is paella. You don't really pronounce the L, you do it as a Y. So apparently, I don't know. Raging Modeler, Bench Warforged, finally Mojo's back a bit. Belly, turkey, and stuffing sandwich. Trying to decide what I want to work on, says Muse. Dan Kramer, Belly, McDonald's sausage McMuffin with egg and sweet tea. Bench, Ecto 1 dashboard. I'm deciding if I want to cut open the ashtrays. The 59 Cadillac has 2 ashtrays and lighters in the dash. Paul Lyon says Belly, gammon, turkey, pigs and blankets, crisps, pizza, garlic bread, antipasto, roast potatoes, pickled onions, twiglets, wraps and cobs. Bench, a helicopter model. I'll keep it simple. Mama Fox got some snack stuff. She got a big pot of twiglets this year. And I have to say, I love twiglets. They tasted horrible. Have they changed the recipe? Because they tasted really yum chemically. It didn't taste right at all. Candygram, Belly, egg white omelette shared with house dog that is always, for some reason, sitting conveniently nearby when I have food. They know, you know. Bench, 1/100 scale Apollo LEM, or Lem. Lem, Fox, not LEM, you moron. Apollo Lem and Bandai R series droid. When are Bandai going to make a T1 series tactical droid? Come on, Bandai, I want a tactical droid. Get to it. Scaly Models, just trying my hardest to convince Colin to set up his Amazon affiliate store. God, it's hard work. Yeah. Keep persevering. Spotlight, is that it? Yes, but look at the quality. Feel the quality of my spotlight constructions. Most magnificent, glorious. Shut up. Belly cake bench terrain board, says Ghost Lyle. Insert your own punctuation. Belly cake bench terrain board. I need to know more details of the cake. Can't just say cake. But hello, by the way, Ghost Lyle. Welcome. Valley Hedge Hodgepodge. Yeah, I'll just call Vallejo Paints or Vallejo Paint. I'll just call them VJJ. There you go. VJJ Paints. There you go. That's what Ted calls them sometimes. Ted, when he uses grown-up words that you never hear him use. Wayne Haywood says Bench Judge Red Minis, Belly, Wine Gums and Stout. Oof. You mean Spanglish. Valeria Hedgeriru says Spid. With the Twiglets, it might be what they came in as. I had them in a bag and they tasted fine. If they're a cardboard tube, they may not have been stored properly before. Yeah, they just tasted a bit. They're in the cardboardy foil lined tube and they just tasted a bit, I don't know, chemically. Edward Leonard Bench, sanding a terrible paint job on a Ryefield Challenger tank. Belly leftover turkey dinner stuff. Ghost Lyle says it's a fruit and nut cake. Everyone's a fruit and nut cake. It's an old English advert. There you go. Fruit and nut cake. Yeah, sounds good to me. Right, so what am I doing? I've done that searchlight. Shut up. Now I've got to build the stowage bin that goes on the back. And the amusing thing is, they give you this back plate here with all this detail on, and then you plonk a dirty, great stowage bin on the back. I assume this is used somewhere else then, because it seems weird that you have all that and then cover it up. No. Right, so we need these parts. Let us begin with these parts. Not something to say on a family show, Foxy. What for JJ? I know. Well, it's not something for Ted to say on a family show. I don't think it'll kill my monetization, though. Right, so we need these unnumbered parts that I'll have to completely identify purely by hope and chance. Paul Di Tommaso is in. Hey, Paul. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you had a good snooze, my friend. Hope you're doing okay. How are you, my friend? We have... Now, they have had the sense and sanity to put these all, I think, hopefully. I'm saying this before I've got them all off. I assume these are all the right parts on the same part of the sprue. So I'm hoping these are all the relevant parts. They're not numbered at all, as is pretty much none of this kit, aside from the tracks. They had the sense to number the track parts. I mean, dear Lord, if they hadn't done that, they'd be rioting in the streets. Hey, there'd be some crying in the showers tonight. Old World of Sport reference there. So we need to make the box part first. So top, bottom, sides and rear. And then we have some aerials. Are they on the same sprue? No. The aerials, of course, the antennae aren't on the same sprue. Because of course they're not. Heaven forbid convenience would be an option. Heaven forbid. That's stubbers. Not antennae. I've seen them. There they are. I can see them. I think that's them. Steady Neris. Steady Neris. There we go. Oh, clunk, bang, wallop. Right, that can go there. Some grab handles. Grab handles. Now the grab handles are on the original sprue that those came on, so that's fine, I think. Yes, they're on there. I also need some exhausts. There's 2 exhausts there and 2 exhausts there. I say we've got the hook. Oh, okay, I've got it. I know. Right, I'm sorted now. I need that one. I'll get all my bits ready. And then I'll get these bits as well. Let me collect my bits that you may look at them impressed. Meh. Meh. And then we have... Where have I got this sprue? I didn't need that sprue. Why have I got that? No, you're not impressed because I've got the rock. Right. Handles, exhausts, aerials. I wanted that for the hooks, that's why. Did I need it for the hooks? That's not even the right. What are you doing, Fox? Damn it. That one I wanted. Hooks. Handles are on there. Right, sorted. So, got those bits. I'm hard work. I admit myself I'm hard work. Even I consider myself hard work. I'm talking about myself. Need these 2 hooks. Oops. This little wiggly bit that sits on the back that I don't know what it is. But we need it apparently. I think. Yes. That is now that sprue complete. I can throw that away into the sun. Launch it into the sun. I will need the 4 exhausts, which are there, which I will not cut off straight. I'm not going to cut the sprue right against them. I'm going to cut it close to them, but not right up against them because I need to carefully trim that. And I can say with some relief, these exhausts are single piece. They're not the kind of exhaust where you have to glue 2 bits together to make the tube. Which means A, cleanup's going to be brilliant, but also I don't have to worry about not having a hollow exhaust. Thank goodness for that. That's all I need from that spruage. And from here I need handles. Handles for tanks. I need 3 of these apparently. Everyone's a fruit and nut case. Yeah, but if I do break any of these handles, it's not a problem. I have like 1 million of these in my spares box. Because on eBay I bought like somebody's bits box, and it was all tank parts and stuff. I've got like 1 billion handles and things everywhere. Right, we've got many parts we need to clean up. Have a quick look at chat before we get going. You expect parts to be organised, Foxy? Nah, I'm not that stupid. I'd die of shock. Doing okay, Fox, says Paul. Good to hear it, buddy. Muse, this is a family show? I was not prepared, says Mayhem. No. They'll be dancing in the streets of Kirkcaldy tonight. Who said anyone in the chat? What? They'll be dancing in the streets of Kirkcaldy. I've been to Kirkcaldy. I had to go to St Andrews once. My friend was at university in St Andrews, and I went to visit them once. This is like in the 1990s. I went up on the train to visit them. One of the stops was Kirkcaldy. Next station is Kirkcaldy. Stopped there. It was very windy. And then hung around for a couple of days and came back. And my next door neighbour said, "Did you go to the golf course?" And I was like, "What golf course?" I know. I was like 25. I have no interest in golf. I'm like, what? Is there a golf course? Chuck Norris is in. Cool. Everybody behave, otherwise Chuck Norris will just destroy you. I don't recognise the quote though, Graham McRobert. I think mine was some bloke. I actually said, anybody recognise that quote when I did my little quote? I think it was from Rugby Special. I don't even know who it was from, so I should have not really done that. JS Idaho is in. Welcome, JS Idaho. It says, hello, Sensei Norris. People talking about R5 droids. I know nothing of such matters. If I do miss you in chat, by the way, when you come in, I do apologise. Do say hello. It was Bill McLaren up here in Scotland via rugby game. Oh, yeah, there you go. I wonder if it was also Bill McLaren who was like, hey, there'll be some greying in the showers tonight. I'm pretty sure it was a rugby commentator. Right, let's drink a coffee. Do some work. So, get these parts cleanotated. Cleanularity. Shouldn't be too difficult. They're mostly flat bits. Oh, show us your flat bits. Oh. Nothing to trim off there. A little bit of nubbage. Get these bits cleaned up. Are we on camera? Almost. Almost on camera. Always a good idea to be almost on camera. I've moved the camera around a bit again. I had it yesterday set so that A, you couldn't see Squishy because he was over there. Just in case Jacqueline, for any reason, should happen to, come and watch, she can see that Squishy's there. But also, all you kept seeing was my head like that. I'm working. So it's kind of stupid. So, and you couldn't see any of the hardcore model making action going on. So, yeah. Camera in just the wrong. I watched a little bit yesterday. It's like, well, all you can see is the back of my hand and the back of my head. Fantastic. 10 points. Filmed like a true professional. Right, now I can go closer in with my God Hand nippers because they're a bit more precise. My Mr. Tools, Mr. Hobby, Mr. Toolbox, Mr. Nippers, Mr. Cutters, Mr. Bob Dobalina. And Mr. Hobby, Mr. Tools, Mr. Cutters, Mr. Nippers, Mr. Sharp, Mr. Pointy. These are good, like medium. That's a bit like an assault rifle. That's a bit like a silenced precise pistol. You're playing Fallout. Well, that's more like, I don't know, that's a hunting rifle. That's a silenced pistol. There you go. In precision, these are a lot more precise and delicate and finer. I can get rid of any majorly excessive nubbage. I'm still going to be careful because I don't want to flatten any of the curved edges. Curved. Have you seen those warriors from Arkoth? They've got curved swords. Curved swords. No lollygagging. I hear they're reforming the Dawn Guard. Some kind of vampire hunters. Oh, Skyrim guards don't ever change. Whatever the next Elder Scrolls game is, it's not going to be as awesome because it's not going to be in Skyrim. If it doesn't have, like, forests, a lot of people think it might be in, like, the Redfall areas and that kind of, like, the Redguard setting, which is a lot of deserts and badlands. And it's like, if it's not got forests and woodlands, it's not going to be the same. It's just not going to be the same. Who wants rocks and desert when you can have woodlands and things and that? Who knows? Who knows what that game will include? No one knows. Well, no, none of us. Oh, itchy nose. A little bit's cleaned up. Handles for tanks. Now this is tricky because these handles do have a habit of snapping when you clean them up. So like I say, I've got 100 million of these spare. And I know someone has tagged me in chat, so I'll be with you in a minute. Handles for tanks. I've only got 3 handles though, not 4 handles. How many handles have I got, Colin? 3 handles. come back. What I might do though, once I've finished assembling all of this Baneblade, what I'm going to do is go into my bits box, because this is going to be for me, this Baneblade. It's not going to be sold, so, or not that I'm planning on anyway. Go into my bits box and see what I can add to it, because I might want to add more handles, more Aquila, put more eagles on it somewhere. Quintilis Varius, where are my eagles? Always put more eagles on it. What else? And I might just see what other bits and bobs I can add to it. If it does end up just being my own like deathcore tank that I end up playing in a game one day, I might add, you know, I might get some third-party tank accessories, like, you know, not for Warhammer, but like stowage netting and knapsacks and bags and things, and just have them spread around. I might get some deathcore accessories if any things exist, like backpacks and stuff, you know, just to have them sprinkled around the hull of the tank, just for extra flavour, basically. Quick look at chat, because somebody did signal me. Nub says Mayhem. That's hard to do when you've got a beard and your entire beard gets soaked. I would love to build a 1/12 scale sandcrawler. It would be freaking huge. Huge. It would be. Huge. In the best J novella sense of the word. Huge. I've decided what I'm eating, says Nim. Breaking news. I'm ordering from Five Guys. I am getting a peanut butter and Oreo milkshake, fries and a double cheeseburger, as I have not eaten anything today. I think that covers both lunch and breakfast quite nicely. Somehow. Chuck Norris is laughing at something. Quite sure what. That sounds like a first-rate selection. Nim. It will double as furniture, says Paul about the big sandcrawler. Graham says, hi Fester, feeling better? Think I overdid the sprouts, enough said. There's no such thing as too many sprouts. Sprouts are God's food. If he existed. They are food of the gods. Oh, I can cut them nubs off. Somehow this one escaped without being tinkered with. How did this pass my attention? Careful with this one, because there's a little like collar around the exhaust pipe, so I'm going to try and nip that off without actually using the end of my nipper blades if I can avoid it. There's another one there. Oh! You escape me, I kill you now. Oops. Snippity-doo-dah. Right, there we go, that's that cleaned. So now we do the delicate cleanulations. This may take a while because these are quite some fiddly parts. So, yeah, we might not get much built today. And gouge. There you go. Perfect. To my advantage, though, this will be a hundreds and hundreds of year old tank. So it can have some damage and dings and dents. I can get away with it. No problem. This nub is an absolute nightmare to get to because it's right in a recess. Fantastic. I'm just quickly getting rid of any excess nubbage before we do any filing or sanding. And like I said before, remember this is a test build for me. This is my first ever Baneblade, so it is a test build to see what the build process is like, so that I can make an assessment as to whether I intend on building any more of these in the future, purely to build them and sell them. So I'll do a bit more than I normally would, even though it's just a build for my own army. I'll go a bit more into detail, because when I build something to sell it, I need to make as much effort as possible to make a good model. So I need to do more than I normally would for myself, just to test out the build process. If I don't enjoy the build process, then I'm never going to make another one again, and I know not to bother. If I do enjoy it, then I can put it on the list of things that I can build several of and sell over the coming years. Just see. it would be quite feasible to actually to build maybe 2 or maybe even 3 Baneblades at the same time if they were being built purely for sale. We'll see. We shall see. Nubbage. Don't forget, folks, do all the usual quick shout out bits in this quiet moment. If you've not already, please do make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to give a thumbs up, because giving a thumbs up to the content you enjoy does help the creator get their content seen more widely on the YouTube. So do thumbs ups and likes and subscribes. If you'd like to help support the channel directly, you can do. You can become a patron. Patreon.com/modelmakingguru. There's a link at the bottom of the screen there. Or if you prefer not to use Patreon, you can just become a YouTube channel member by hitting the little join button that's under any one of my videos. That way you can directly support this channel, you can keep the lights on and paid for. And you will get access to video content a week in advance, advert free, and occasional exclusive content as well. So do feel free if you want to become a channel member or to become a patron. Either way, you'll be helping out the channel. Because this is what I do for my income, this is my living. So all support keeps me doing it. Yeah, this is quite tricky, these little nubs. I've got to try and maintain the collar that's around the exhaust pipe. I don't want to ruin that, but I've got to get rid of the nub that's plonked right on top of it. Oh. Which is a little tricky. Also, I've got to keep it curved as well. Curved. Exhaust pipes, not my favourite things to clean up. And tubes. Are we on camera? Yes, we're on camera. What else can I talk about? What else has been going on? Not a lot has been going on that I can really spin any conversation out of, to be honest. Been at home doing Christmassy stuff. Been playing Borderlands 3 a bit more. Still enjoying it. I'll stick with it for a while. I've got a little website that catalogues golden keys whenever they're released. So I've always got the most number of golden keys available. It's alright. It's no Borderlands 1, but I've played Borderlands 1 so many times now that, yeah, it's new content for me. I know it's like a year old already, but what else? But don't forget, of course, if you're in the chat, please do give me things to talk about, because I'm running out all the time. Treat it as an Ask Me Anything. Treat it as a Reddit AMA. Ask me anything you want. No religion, no politics, but anything else I will do my best to answer. And also, if you've got a model making question, don't forget, of course, it might be something that I don't know anything about. But I can guarantee you that there'll be somebody in chat that may have experience of whatever it is you're asking. So, always remember, it's not just me that's answering your questions. It's people in chat as well. That's why I love my little community that hang out around my videos, because they all help each other out. And that's the whole point of my chat. It doesn't really matter what I'm doing here. Really relevant. What's important is that you guys are with each other in chat, helping each other out. That's what it's all about. Oh, hooky. But yeah, ask me anything. Ask me anything you want. That's what we're here for. Lord knows I need things to talk about, so help a guy out. Oh, sniffly nose. Plus, you never know what might trigger me off on a wibble. Because you all know me, I like a bit of a wibble about things. A bit of a rant here and now and then. And there's usually something in every episode, every stream I do, that sets me off on a bit of a ribble. A ribble? Not ribble. A wibble. There's usually something at some point. You never know what might trigger me. And no, Jar Jar doesn't set me off on a wibble. It just makes me roll my eyes and go, ugh. Not really a wibble. I need to get rid of the mould line on this, but I'm going to use... I was going to say I'm going to use my knife, but... Let's get rid of this. Now, this little tiny widget thing here, I've got to say, the first time I've ever seen Flash on a Games Workshop kit. but it's not really flash. It's like the mould line that goes right around the middle of the little central little tube bit. So it's kind of flash, but it's kind of not. It's a mould line. I think we'll just sand that bit. But I've got to try and get this bit without knackering the delicate part. So get this nub off without knackering the delicate part and without getting rid of all the little surface detail. Let's quickly get a bit of a zizz. Roger, zizzing now. And then I shall have a look at chat when these are cleaned up. I say all this, ask me questions, then I sit and don't look at chat for like 20 minutes. But hey, that's what happens when you're doing the model making stuff. Also, let's keep in mind this piece will be completely covered in mud, because it's right at the back of the tank at the bottom, so I don't need to worry too much about scruffing away delicate details, because it's going to have like a layer of mud and filth and dirt. Dirt and filth. Which way does this go? It goes on that way. I don't even know what it's supposed to be, to be honest. Oh, apart from a pain in the bum to sand and clean up. Like an oldie worldy, like an old vintage radio microphone, if nothing else, but I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be. Apparently, here's some model making news for you that I found out today. I didn't know this, and it might be old news, I don't know, but I didn't know it. Apparently, I'm sure there'll be a few of you out there who are aware of a classic old Tamiya model kit, the 1/12 scale Porsche something or other, the Martini Racing Porsche 935, I think it was, or something. It's a not too rough. It's a classic old enormous Tamiya kit, Martini 1977 kit, the Martini Racing Porsche, and it's been a lot of people's grail kit for a long time. Apparently, they did two. They did a remote control one, which was simple, and they then released a proper full-on plastic model kit. And if you know your Industrial Light and Magic and Star Wars behind the scenes, the big chunky areas that's next to the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and on the other side of the mandible, those two big engine block looking things are part of the engine box and transmission from that exact kit. Well, apparently Tamiya have re-released it. Or they've relaunched it. I don't know if it's a new thing or if it's been out for ages, but I saw a tweet today thanking Tamiya for sending it to him because they've re-released this kit, and it's this 1/12 scale Porsche. It's now got photo etch and other stuff in it as well. Martini Racing. So if any of you out there that's been your grail kit for the last ever, but you didn't want to spend £700 or £800 on the ones you can get on eBay, the vintage ones, then apparently they're out. They re-released it. Same classic box art, same great Tamiya flavour, just now with photo etch apparently as well. That filled a minute, didn't it? Yes. I can see chat moving, so I'll have a look in a second. I know that Andy and Adam are now there trying to figure out things that can trigger me into a wibble. Roger, dropping things now. I'll have to get the knife blade in there because it's a little bit tight, matron. Can't quite get me tool in there. Can't get my tool in your tight area. Matron. There goes my monetization. Hurrah! Hello, I've come to fix your washing machine. Let me show you my big tool. My best slightly ropey porn voice. 70s German porn film voice. It just happens to sound like Arnie, that's all. Or rather, just happens to sound like my Arnie impression. Our line is tricky on these little hooks. Do our best. Again, I need to road test this build, so I'm doing... For one, if I'm doing a build for a video series, I put a lot of effort in. If I'm doing a build to sell it, I put a lot of effort in. If I'm doing a build for myself, for my own army. I cut corners and I speed things up because I'm not really that fussed. But with this one, because it's a test run, I don't want to cut lots of corners and think I enjoyed that and then buy three more of these to build and sell and realise I hated every minute of it when I try and do it properly. So yeah. I think it's looking good though. I think I will be buying more of these in the future and building and selling them. The difficulty is, of course, when I've got a kit that I want to build just to paint and sell, if I've already filmed painting it, then it means it's a week or two of building and painting it that I'm not filming it because you've already seen it. So tricky decision. These are things I've got to think about in the coming year. Once I can leave the house again and life's back to normal, I can start selling stuff. I need to start thinking about auction builds and stuff like that, because it was kind of half my income and it's just not been anywhere the last 12 months because of everything being on fire, which is brilliant. So I'll be glad to get back to that. 2020 was going to be the year that I really started getting into the building and selling thing, and then, you know, that didn't happen. Thanks, universe. The way things have gone this year, the universe is clearly related to members of the cat family. It's clearly a member of the cat family, somehow genetically related, because the universe has been a complete asshole all year. Clearly some form of cat on a universal scale. Because all cats are assholes, we know that. Get this bit cleaned. Not finished yet. I've still got sanding to do on those other parts, but we'll just get this bit done. I'll have a quick look at the chat and we'll carry on sanding and cleaning. Now, when I do the e-models build tomorrow, don't forget, of course, me, Colin, Ted and Chris are doing our e-models Christmas build tomorrow at lunchtime, midday GMT on the e-models UK YouTube channel. Don't forget, it's live. I will have to do a lot faster building than this. I won't be quite as fastidious with my seam lines because I've got to build a model and paint it in like 4 to 6 hours. So, yeah, won't be doing quite this amount of effort. Looking forward to it though. It's always good fun. Right, that'll do. Squiffle those. Sniffly nose as well. Quick look at chat. Chris is in. Says, hey Dan, hey LOEC, hey Chris. Hey Dan. Why are you saying hello to Chris when it's... Oh no, it's Dad saying hello to you. Welcome Chris at Gross Models. I've missed a bit of chat here, but never mind. Pitch. People talking about full-size R2s. Chris has an AMA question. How much of tomorrow's build have you done so far? I haven't done anything in advance. However, one of us, who may or may not be in the chat right now, may have done some preparatory work with their 3D printer. Maybe. I haven't done anything. I've done no preparation. I've not even opened the paints or taken anything out of the cellophane. I've done nothing. Everybody accuses me of cheating because I used to pre-build and pre-prime them before, so I could spend the 4 hours painting them because I paint slowly. Somebody may have already created some landscape for their model. And I think that is quite amusing. I shall say no more. Somebody may have. But it's not cheating, doing that in advance. Whereas when I do it, it's cheating, you see. Where are we up to? I've rediscovered a passion for GTA Online in the past few months, says Phil East. Cool. I've played GTA 5 for a while, but I kind of got bored. I remember GTA 4... I enjoyed it up until the point where I had to do a race with Alpha Dog, whatever it was called. And the racing was horrible. I hated it. I'm not into racing games. And that I was like, yeah, I'm putting that away now. Was that GTA 3? GTA 4? What was one with the... Hey, cousin! Was that GTA 4? Yeah. And it's only when you go back and play GTA 4 now you're like, oh, God, it's terrible. It was a revolutionary of its time, but now you look back at it and think, God, this graphics horrible. Yeah, GTA 5, it was interesting-ish for a while, but I just kind of got bored after a bit. Graham McRobert says, might sound a daft question, but what size is a 1/24th cliff? Also tree and bushes for a diorama. It depends on what size the real thing would be. It's going to be 24 times smaller. So if a real life tree was 24 feet tall, it would be 1 foot tall on your 1/24th scale. So it's got to be 24 times. It's 24. Basically, the 24 scale is 1 inch to 24 inches, which is 1 inch to a foot to 2 feet, basically. 1/24 scale. 1 to 12 scale is 1 foot to 1 inch. 1/24 scale is 2 foot to 2 inch. So if you want a 100-foot cliff, it will be, 24 divided by 200, 100 or 200 or whatever. I'm not doing maths on telly, not live. But yes, it's when you're doing things like cliffs, it doesn't really matter, because a cliff can be a foot tall or 100 foot tall. It doesn't really matter for that. Trees, you want to get the right scale though. Depends on the kind of tree and how tall it is, but basically it needs to be 20. If it's not like a pre-made tree that's in 1/24th scale, and don't forget, of course, when it comes to trees, you can kind of get away with 1/35th scale trees. If it's a big oak tree or conifer, you don't have to be super precise. But if you've got a dude that tall and a tree that tall, an oak tree that's that tall, yeah, that's not going to be quite right. If you've got a dude that tall and an oak tree this tall, that's a bit more convincing. So if you're making your own, it's just go for what looks right. Quite big though, I would think, 1/24 scale. But cliff-wise, yeah, don't worry about how big the real cliff would be. Just make it look good in your diorama. Lee says, I meant to say earlier, but thanks for the help yesterday, guys. I've posed and glued my Tau Commander, just priming the sub-assemblies now. Cool! If you're not already in the Model Maker's Boom Hut, which I shall post a link to now if my buttons work. If you're not already in the Model Maker's Boom Hut, do join the Model Maker's Boom Hut and put pictures in. Yay! My Facebook group for model makers, which is absolutely snark-free, no bitchiness, no nonsense. Very nice, friendly place. If you're not already a member, go and join. Everybody in there will love to help you if you've got any questions or you need advice or you just want to show you stuff off. It's a very friendly place. Fox, what about Ewoks? Wibble? No. Not really. They're rubbish. Chris says, yeah, I haven't started any built and primed it and done a base cut. I have not even opened the cellophane on it. So there you go. Dan says, what size, Graham, what size is the cliff in real size? I would focus on what the main parts of the model are and have the set pieces kind of stop outside of the frame. Yeah, you really, I mean, for things like trees and stuff, there's a lot of leeway with trees and bushes because trees and bushes in real life can be all different sizes. Cliffs, you can do what you want. I mean, you can really think about things like, stones and boulders. Like, if you want to suggest big, massive boulders, then you've got to consider how big a rock would be in real life compared. If I've got a figure this big and I get little stones that are this big, they look like little rocks about that big, down to scale. If I get a figure that big and a rock this big, it's like a huge, great boulder. But that's anything where you'd have to consider your setting. Cliff sizes. Cliff is a cliff. It's more with that. It's more of an artistic consideration. What looks good in the diorama. Speed says he's built all of it. He'll open the box and the complete painting model will fall out. Do you know, I tried my hardest this year not to do anything in advance and I've succeeded and I'm still getting a stick for it. I don't know. Whereas some of us have already built our dioramas. I'm only joking, Cole. We're up to... somebody's asking about, I think, cosplay for Star Wars. Candygram says, I just asked my wife who has a full set of Scout Trooper armour. Awesome. And it's a 501st. Oh, cool. She's in the 501st. She said to check out Studio Creations and Walt's Trooper Factory and avoid Anovos. Cost is unknown. Yeah, I've heard bits and bobs about Anovos. Okay, that's cool. You're including the police car too. That would almost be... Oh, you're making a General Lee jumping over a cliff thing then, kind of thing. I get you. I see where you're going with that now. If that's what you're doing. Speedy Kuwait says, we know about the aluminium flacon's mandibles, the Millennium Falcon, but is there a Star Wars ship with womandibles? Don't know, actually. Probably. Yeah, what's that Star Destroyer with the big round? Moving on. Are you seriously suggesting Mayhem Modelworks and I would do such a thing? Well, I'm going to tell you something that will shock you to your very core. You are absolutely right, says the Raging Model, about trying to trigger me into a wibble. Yeah, Ewoks. Not going to work. And Mayhem's like, wait, what am I getting dragged into? I just jumped the chat. Damn it, I'm going to miss the build stream tomorrow. I have to go into work to clean, disagree, sort out while we close for X amount of time. Oh. Well, you can watch it on rewatch. I've missed a load of chat, but I'll be here all day if I go back and try and find it. I just bought Fallout 4, says Paul Lyons, only standard version, for £6. Been meaning to get to it for ages, but never had the cash spare. Yeah. Sometimes you can get the best games for the cheapest amounts, like a year or two down the line. What is it, 6 years now? But yeah, absolutely worth it. £6, absolutely. If you're wanting to get in like older games, I always say if you're on Xbox Live or PlayStation Store, if you're on console, don't buy them from on the console digitally because they're still like 15 quid. Go to your local game shop or game store, I should say, whatever that might be, Game or Granger Games or anything like that, and just go through their second-hand pile. You get them for like a few quid. I got Borderlands. I got Borderlands Game of the Year edition for £2 about 2 years ago. Are you on PC or Xbox or PlayStation, Paul? Because don't forget mods. Mods make it much better. EC Idaho says, Fox agreed, Ewoks are rubbish. Yeah, they are. You can't really wibble about it. They just are. It's unequivocally just kind of... It was the first sign of George Lucas being a bit rubbish about stuff. That's it. And no, you're not going to trick me into going about the prequels. Where are we? I can finally post my most recent build in the Boom Hut now that my mate has unwrapped and seen it. Yes. Xbox One, says Paul. Yeah. Oh yeah, just start downloading all kinds of mods. 9,000 mince pies is the best £6 you'll ever spend. Yeah, you can have up to 2 gig of mods on Xbox. And it's all through the options. I would recommend the way to navigate through mods on the Xbox is a bit rubbish, the sort of mod store. What I would suggest is oops, there's a handle. What I would suggest is when you're looking for mods, search for them on the actual Bethesda Xbox mods on the Bethesda website, because they've got a section for the mods for different formats. Search for them on there. And then when you find a mod you want, go on the Xbox and type in the name of the mod in the mods library to find it. Because you'll never find it otherwise. They've got like 1 billion mods, and on that in-game Xbox mod section, the library's tiny. They kind of show you almost none of them. So, yeah. Search on the Bethesda website. And then download them from the Xbox mods option. These handles are going to snap, I can feel it. I've got to use the knife to get rid of the nub that's right. Why they couldn't put the nub on the outside of the handle, which will make a lot more sense, I do not know. Little tiny mini wibble for you. But no, they had to put the nub on the inside, where all you're going to do is cut into the handle and snap it. Stupidity. I can't get my nippers in there at all. I might have to go into my spares and just get my collection of handles. Oh, there we go. I could file it, but that'll take forever. Knife is much more fastness. It's hard to take off a nub on a curve, on a concave curve. There we go, that's that one done. I've only got to do 3 of them, thank goodness. What I can do is quickly file that. This is where they often snap, you see, where you either try and file them or you sand them. Seamline removal tool. remove the seam line, the mould line even. Maybe ding the rivet. There we go. A little bit of a sandy. Oh, Sandy! Hello! Went a bit Edinburgh then, didn't I? Oh, hello, Sandy! I don't know why. But that's one done. One handle. Now these just need a bit of sandy cleanup because I've got rid of the nubs via the... No, I haven't. Here, via the knife. So a hint of a nub there. Just quickly alleviate that. I shall relieve it of its existence. Excellent. What can we talk about? Let's have a think. What needs discussing? I do not know. I know not. I was debating to do the State of the Onion video at the end of the year. I did one, I think, in 2018 or 19. I was debating whether to do the State of the Onion, where I just do a recap of the year. Thank everybody for being awesome. But this year has been such a garbage dumpster fire that I was like, you know what? There's nothing really worth talking about. Let's just get this year gone. So yeah, I'm not doing a State of the Onion video. Do. Oh. Look at chat in a moment. Going slowly today, it seems. Not the fastest of buildy, but I'm doing lots of cleanup, so I'm doing things. I'm just not doing them fastly. I've already spotted a few things where I'll need to do a little bit of cleanup or fixing later on. Like little bits where two panels go together and don't quite join up neatly. So I might have to go in with either some sprue goo, or if I'm being really lazy, just do a little bit of plastic card paneling to cover up any egregious things. Right, get rid of the mould line on this now. This is going to be tricky. I'll leave that knife out because I need it. This goes on like that, so get rid of this mould line. Quick sandy once that's done. Get rid of this bit where the nub was. I think that's where a little filey might come in handy there. Couldn't quite trim the nub away with the knife on this little curvy bit, so a sanding sponge would get rid of it, but it would also sand the little piece of piping alongside it too smooth and it would look terrible. So sometimes a quick blist with a file is always a good way. There's like a little ring around the exhaust tube. If I went in with the sanding sponge massively, I just end up smoothing that out, so I don't want to do that. So sometimes a file can be a good thing. It also can be a lot quicker as well than messing about with sanding sponges. This one, of course, is a nice open tube, so I can just go in and do that. No issues on that one at all. Now, I'm not worried about if I get any sanding marks on these, because these are exhausts. They're going to be rusty. I'm going to paint them rusty, but I'm also going to paint them like corroded with lumpy bits as well. So when I do tanks, I always like to imagine like the big exhausts on tanks are a bit like the exhaust on a Matilda, World War II Matilda. They're always painted brown and rusty. That's the way I always do exhausts. Brown and rusty. Oh, rusty. Don't know what that was. I won't make that voice again. Yeah, that's looking nice and neat. So I'm not too fussed if they're not 100% neat and tidy. There's a few little scratchy marks. Or if I've gone a bit handy with the sanding sponge and anything like that. Because, as I say, they are going to be rusted and corroded. I'll use some, amongst other things, I might use some of the that texture paint, Typhus Corrosion. That's quite good for getting that kind of gritty rust texture. But what I will do is this bit here, the collar around the pipe, I did sand it a little bit and it's got a little bit of smoothness, so I just need to take my scribing tool and just rescribe the interface between the pipe and the collar. And it doesn't bring back that 90-degree corner, but it just fakes it a little bit. Makes it a bit more obviously stand out-ish. Gets rid of the little curve I've introduced into it, so I think that's that done. A little bit on there. It was a little easier than I thought it would be. Get rid of that little mould line. There we go. Now I'm going to put a little tiny touch of glue on where I just scraped that seam line, or that little edge, just because I made a bit of a scrape to it, so I'll just smooth it off to get rid of the scrapey. But it still gives it that nice 90-degree corner. I'll take this corner here because there's a bit of mould line. There we go. Sometimes if you get a tiny touch of mould line that you can't quite get to with a blade or a scraping tool or something like that, especially in little recesses or corners, just a touch of extra thin will fix that. I need to blow my nose again. Or wipe my nose. Yeah, it's these damn glasses. These lenses. Next one, we've only got 4 of these today. What's chat doing? Yes, mods, as Fox says. Yeah, get yourself mods. Mods that change the graphics, mods that add quests, just all kinds of things. There's one called I can't remember what it's called. Oh well, there's one default mod that kind of fixes most things. It's the base mod you'll need. Can't remember. I highly recommend the mod Sim Settlements 2. It automates the town building. Unfortunately, on Xbox, you've only got, I think, 2 gig for mods. And I don't know if Sim Settlements is on the Xbox. Might not be. But you've only got 2 gig, so you've got to kind of budget what you want. I think I looked for it, but I don't know if I found it or not. People talking about Jawas. So basically, by trying to get me to have a wibble, everybody's now having a wibble in chat about Jawas. I like it. That backfired. Does anyone know of a source where I can look to see if a model kit is still in production? Says Dan Kramer. Yes, a place called scalemates.com. If someone can put a link, if one of the mods could put a link in chat, scalemates. It might be .com or .co.uk. They tend to have, they've got a massive library of kits, and might not say if it's still in production, but it will tell you when the last production run was. I have some money left for the holiday birthday and would like to focus on a kit that will inevitably go up in price if it's almost out of production. Yeah, Scalemates. Wingnut Wings if you can find them. Oh yeah, Wingnut Wings no longer exists if you can find those kits. Oh yeah, they'll be expensive now, but in 5 years. Oh yeah. Man, that fruit and nut I really will not get out of my head. Thanks, Fox. Everyone's a fruit and nut case. Yeah. With what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Yeah. Once that's in your head. Anybody who lived through the 80s, you'll know those adverts. What was that guy's name? I've forgotten his name. He had that sort of soft R speech impediment. He said, "This is a little tree, or rather, twee." You could never say the word twee. It was twee. What was his name? I've forgotten his name. Somebody put in chat what his name was. He was like a raconteur and author and literary critic and that type of thing. He was kind of a national institution in the 80s in Britain, but I've forgotten his name. He wasn't that much of a national institution. He was one of those, there's a strange class of celebrity in the UK here who, maybe not so much anymore, but they were known for something like in the 50s or 60s, briefly. And then after that, they just kind of did quiz shows, but like BBC Radio 4 quiz shows and things like that. Not stuff, you know, not like mainstream mouth breathing quiz shows, but the kind of stuff like, you know, I'm sorry, I'll read that again now. That's not one of them. You know, those kind of polite upper middle class quiz shows, and that's where they kind of. It's weird. They don't really exist anymore, and they only existed in the 70s and 80s. But they're certainly. You know, like Graham Garden was one of them, known for the goodies and then kind of faded away, but still did like Radio 4 quiz and those kind of programs. Yeah, you don't really get people like that anymore. Not that much. Not many of them left anyway. Not Russ Abbott. No, Frank Muir. That's it. Frank Muir. Frank Muir. Yeah, whenever he tried to say twee. So if you had a Christmas tree and he thought it was a bit twee, it would be a twee. He's a lovely bloke. It seemed to be anyway. I didn't know him, obviously. Frank Muir. Definitely a throwback from the sort of radio days. A lot of them were kind of people who started off on radio, I think, in the 50s and 60s, and then made their name in other places. But it's like, you know, but they didn't really do, like Magnus Pike. Magnus Pike was a proper scientist, but he was known for just doing crazy little things on TV shows, appearing and doing arm-waving things about science, but that's kind of what he was known for, and he was a national treasure, but he just did a few appearances here and there. Nobody knows what his actual science career was like. In the public mind, anyway. A whole generation of people like that. They're much loved without actually a big body of work. Willie Rushton. He was a writer, and he was an author and poet and stuff. So he was well known. His work was well known in upper middle class circles, but of course he was known in the amongst the public as doing like voiceovers and voice work and things for some children's programs and stuff like that. But still, the body of work he put out was not, you know, in that area, was not the kind of amount that would engender that kind of adoration by the mouth-breathing public, but that was there. Funny that. It's something you're only ever going to get in Britain, and not really anymore. Golden era. The TV cream era. I think that's that one done. Everyone's a fruit and nut case. Yeah, because this is a single piece exhaust, you've got a little recessed here, like a little concavity to suggest the hollowness of the exhaust, which you can just get some null oil in there and make it look black, and it looks like it's hollow. It doesn't have to go all the way down. If that was a two-piece exhaust, it might have that, but it ends up having to get full of crap. If it was a solid exhaust, you have to drill it out, but you can't really drill around a corner. So I'm glad they're one-piece exhausts. That's good, that. Bill Oddie, no. Brian Sewell, no. Brian Sewell was an art critic. He was a real sort of... He was not much adored by the general mouth-breathing public. Brian Sewell. He was an upper-class twit type, celebrity type. He's an art critic. He's known, but he wouldn't be much adored by the general British public. Russian Abbott. It's really, I think, spelling mistake. Russ Abbott. Christmas tree. Scale model news. Okay, finishing up an Ogre Mini. Snow or muddy base? Snow's good, but mud often looks a lot better than snow. Unless you get snow just right, snow can look like sprinkles. And I've seen a lot more snow dioramas come out terribly, because scale snow is really hard to get right. Not in terms of the skill of the builder, but the quality of the stuff. There is a company in the UK called Precision Ice and Snow, and they make some sort of rattle can snow products and some other ice products. And I've got to say, about all the stuff I've ever seen, I mean, Games Workshop's Valhalla Blizzard, whatever it's called, it's absolute garbage. It just looks like meringue. It's horrible. Precision Snow and Ice's spray on stuff, and their ice, their sort of resin ice kit. It looks incredible. I keep meaning to get some at some point, but I never get around to it. A lot of the snow you will get is kind of designed for small scale stuff, so it's real big and flaky. It would probably work on a 1/6 scale figure, but on a 1/35th, like the scenic woodland scenics snow sprinkle stuff that I've used. I've got it over there. I've used it myself. It's all I've actually got. It just looks like flaky powder. So snow, more often than not, never really works the way the builder intends. It always ends up looking like fake snow. But yeah, the Valhalla and Blizzard is terrible stuff. Even on a simple mini base, it just looks like meringue dumped on the base. Yeah, I keep meaning to get some of that Precision Ice and Snow stuff. I just never get around to it. They've got a YouTube channel. Check them out at some point. I think it's just Precision Ice and Snow. Some of the best looking snow effects I've ever seen. And I must try them out at some point. Ideally, one of them will be watching right now and would send me some stuff free of charge. That'd be fantastic. It's not going to happen. Do 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 do. Oh, exhaust pipes. Sometimes cleaning you can be such a chore. But you'll look good when you're rusty and lumpy and horrible. Bit like me on a Saturday morning after a Friday night. Oh, I'm lumpy and horrible and rusted and oh. In my youth. Back in the day when I was a drinking lad. Back in the day when I'd finish work at 5 o'clock and by 6 o'clock I'd go home and have my dinner. I'd go to the pub, drink hot beer at World. About 10:30, I'd wander over the road to McDonald's and buy like 12 cheeseburgers just before they close. And I'd go back to the pub, carry on drinking, supping. And we knew the landlord, so we'd be there till like 2 in the morning. Then I'd stagger home and I'd sleep till like Friday. Like that was in the days. I remember when I was much younger, we used to like our Sunday routine was to go to pub, one of two local pubs. Get to the pub for about 11 o'clock. Have a nice English breakfast because there was in the days when the pub made the English food, the breakfast foods. It wasn't a gastro pub; it was a pub. They just happened to do some really crappy food. Have whatever the food they were selling, have some of that, and just sit supping beer all day. So right from 11 o'clock in the morning, sat in the pub with your mates, have your breakfast there, get in the pub, and then before you know it, it's chucking out time, and you just go home. But it's because it's an all-day session, you see. It wasn't just a case that you'd just get trolleyed and you'd be just drunk off your face and go to work the next day wanting to die. We weren't chavs. We weren't, mouth-breathing idiots. For a start, we were drinking ale, not fizzy lager crap. And we were there all day, so we were supping. We weren't, we weren't out to get trolleyed. We were out to sit around, eat crisps, smirk tabs, drink beer, and that was it. Sit in the pub and just have a good laugh. And it was a session. It was proper drinking session. It was like you take your time, you nurse your pints. So you'd still have a lot of beer, but you wouldn't be absolutely spanning by midday, and they're just a wreck by the time you went home. Proper paced drinking sessions they were. A group of us back in the day, lad. It was great. But those pubs are not like that anymore. All the pubs have changed now. This was back in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, when we knew all the landlords. And there wasn't really anything else to do anyway, let's be honest. There was no internet for us. was nothing else. It was literally, let's just go to the pub, yay! But it was never a let's go to the pub and get drunk. It was a let's go to the pub because it's our social place that we hang out. We went to pubs that had tables and chairs and, you know, guest beers and things. They weren't like the kind of pub where you walk in and there's 100 people at the bar and it's just dancey club crap playing. It was proper pubs where you sit there and you talking to your mates and they weren't chain pubs where it was like a Beefeater or something where it's got the same food as every other Beefeater pub. Well, none of that nonsense. They're proper free houses, most of them. And then, of course, it got even worse at one point because one of my friends, his dad actually became a landlord in one of them. It was like, fantastic. And it was a proper guest ale pub. Which pub should we go to? Oh, I don't know. How about the one that your dad runs? Because, of course, we will. That was great. Not there anymore. Of course, all long gone now. But those were the days. In the days when there was really nothing else to do, to be honest. You were either at work or I was either at work, I might be building something or painting something or drawing something, but that was just for my own entertainment because there was no internet. And then if you wanted to hang with your mates, why would you go around to the house and hang out when you can just go to the pub? Because there's nothing to do if you hang out at the house, your mate's house. There's nothing to do. Again, you've not got any internet. You wouldn't go around to your mate's house and watch telly. Although we used to have a regular Wednesday night was Star Trek night for DS9 and then Voyager. But that was like, I'd turn up, we'd watch it, I'd go home again. Those were the days. But yeah, you know, there's nothing to do if you went to your mate's house. You just go to the pub. But it says a lot that the local pub that was literally right round the corner from my friend's house, we never went to because it was so bad. It was just a proper chav pub. We'd literally head off into town, into our local, not Manchester. We'd head off, get on the tram, head off into Altrincham, into Alty, get to pubs. We'd hang out at the, if you know Altrincham, there's a town near me. There'd be the Malt Shovels, which was all right. The Bricklayers Arms in Altrincham was our home for like good 10 years until it changed ownership and went a bit downhill. Became a bit chainy and family friendly. It was a proper pub back in the day. You walk in the door and all you could smell was, you know, people smoking tabs. You smell beer. You'd smell the toilets. And you'd hear endless Led Zeppelin on the jukebox. Them what days? Used to go to the Malt Shovels was a pub nearby that was a proper old man's pub. It barely had a jukebox, and it had two bars in it, two separate bars, and it was a proper old man's pub. But it was a good place to hang out and a good place for a drink. And every Tuesday, I think it was, or was it Saturday, they had a live jazz band. The same band each time. They had a live jazz band who were all right. They weren't great. But they were like this sort of group of 5 or 6 people. And one of them was this woman who was like 4 foot nothing. I think she was on trumpet. She was 4 foot nothing and scary as hell. She was terrifying. And like, she was like really like, you know, you wouldn't mess with her. She'd just snap you in half. And at one point, for some reason, we walked in and they were all dressed like pirates for no reason at all that we could discern. They were just playing jazz dressed as pirates. And it's like, okay, she looks even more terrifying than normal. Yeah, I do miss those days sometimes. But I mean, literally, there was nothing else to do. There was nothing to do if you were around your mate's house. Yeah, this was the early to mid 90s, so it wasn't like you go around and play video games at your mate's house because it was still early days. It wasn't a thing then. Most of my friends didn't play video games anyway. At that point, until I got an Xbox, original Xbox, and they suddenly got into Halo. So there really wasn't much else to do. You just got to pub. But I was lucky to hang around with people who liked proper pubs and not fizzy lager crap. I mean, you know, they didn't all drink ales, but they didn't mind going to proper pubs that sold real beer, rather than going to a bar, or you know, a bar that sold crappy fizzy lager nonsense and nothing else. Oh. Right, let's have a look at chat. We've got them bits built-it, and I need to assemble them. Dear God, it's 10 to 5. Good God. Why am I going so slowly today? Where are we up to? Now, Fox Pike, that is a blast from the past. Yeah, Magnus Pike. She blinded me with science. On a similar but different note, some actors surprise you. Peter Weller, for example, is a super knowledgeable professor of history. Ooh, cool. Oh dear, I just posted a snow dire in the boom hut, says P-Least. It might look great, don't worry. It's not the artist's skills that can sometimes look terrible. It's the thing they're using for snow sometimes just isn't up to the job. I'm sure yours looks great. I'll have a look at it a bit. I'm sure it looks fantastic. I used some of the Woodland Scenic snow on my little Space Wolves Stormwolf diorama, and it kind of looked okay, but that's because I slathered it in PVA and mixed it in and did lots of other things to it. But I think it's none of them really. They can look very good. There's something about them, that precision snow and ice, that just takes it one step further. I'm not saying you can't make the snow products look great. You can do, but it's hit and miss. I'm sure yours looks great. I'll have a look in a bit. Welp, they forgot my milkshake, says Nim. Oh no! Also, the guy in Robocop who says, I'd buy that for $1, once paid $2 for something. Never. What's on your thoughts on the new Odyssey DLC for Elite? Asks James Purcell. Hey, James. I've not tried it, obviously, but I have no interest in PvP to start with, so it does seem a lot angled towards PvP. No interest in me whatsoever. But I like the look of it. It defends what it brings to the PvE scene. You know, I'm 100%. I can't stand playing against real people. There's no interest in that at all because most of them are idiots. I like PvE, and I play in solo or with a few friends. But if it can add things to me, because I'm focused on exploration, so I probably won't really get to experience that much. The most I'll get is when I do go to a space station occasionally, because I'm out in the big beyond at the minute. I'm halfway through. I've just gone through Hawking's Gap, and I'm in the Norma Expanse at the minute. I've been there for about 2 years. It probably won't make too many differences to me personally, but it looks alright. It looks, if you're into PvP, it's probably going to be quite an interesting thing. I just can't help thinking they're going to somehow mess it up. Yeah, it's Frontier. They're not going to do it spotlessly and flawlessly. Dolph Lundgren has a master's in chemical engineering and went to MIT. Okay, Scalemates is pretty great, though it does not show if kits are still in production. It has a nice list of aftermarket parts, though. The kit I'm eyeing is a Mobius Proteus. I don't want to miss out on it by missing something else that's still being made, or by buying something else. Scaly Word says, well, nagging works. Colin now has an Amazon affiliate link store. Yes. Good effort. Nice one. I live near Southend in Essex, and we used to meet up on Friday and Saturday nights and go cruising around the seafront and check out all the other cars that are parked up there. Paul. Yep. Victory for Dad, says down. I used Chala Blizzard. I think you mean Valhalla. Valhalla Blizzard on my Kings of War Skull, and it's oldish, kind of maybe lol. I assume you're saying you used Valhalla Blizzard on the Kings of War Skull, and it's oldish. Do you mean it's okay-ish, kind of? Yeah, just Valhalla Blizzard doesn't look. It's not. I use the Green Snuff World Snow mixed with PVA. Is my chat out of date? We searched for the worst possible dive bar to invade, finding one that seemed like it would allow absolutely anything. We put up a full-size camping tent on the dance floor. They still served us. Yeah, I'm going to refresh my chat here just because I think it might be a bit out of date. Yeah, you can get good-looking results with some of the snow products. It's just there's always something that I'm left a little bit like. That's right. I do like doing them because they're kind of easy to do and they're lazy, but yeah, you never know. Right, so I need to make this box that goes on the back, which should be quite simple. Back with basing supplies. Now, too many choices, says Scale Model Muse. Choose all the things. You need all of them. All of them are probably things that you need, I would suspect. So this goes together thusly. Base! How low can you go? Of course, they show you these bits from the side, which is really helpful. Really, most helpful. It's very tree, or rather, tree. How am I even supposed to, you know? I don't understand. This is going to be a little bit fiddly now, I think. Because again, there's no pegs and holes on this. It's just line them up and hope for the best. And hope I don't get glue coming out that then gets a fingerprint on it. That would suck bigly. Went better than I thought. So this bit is the back piece. Oh, Mr. Back Piece. That goes there. Somehow, maybe. That's a bit, perhaps. Oh, this is quite tenuous. These little connections. It definitely has been the case that I've struggled to not have gaps around the corners of some of these, either turrets or, oops, stay there. Things like this, just because, oops, I'm not on camera, just because they're kind of nebulous in the way they connect together. Like down this corner here, there's a little bit of a gap. But this is where, for example, with a bit of finaglage later on, if I get myself some, not stowage crates, but items to put on the tank, like rucksacks and bedrolls and things, just to block it out a bit. That's where you can start covering up some sins. I could just do like the old plastic card strips, add a bit of extra plating on a corner where there's no reason there shouldn't be one. Together quite well, actually. I'll take it back. That one's gone together nicely. That one's got a little bit of a gap where it's been sanded and a little bit vague. I know on the little turret that's on the glasses plate area, you've got this gap at the back here. It's quite gnarly. So that might be something where I perhaps put a piece of plastic card to suggest an extra piece of armour plating. I'd do the same on the other side as well. Or a piece of plastic card with some rivets to suggest a quick, hasty repair. That would work to cover that up. Or even just have like a bit of netting or a rucksack or something. Some bit of something over it. There's always ways to hide your mistakes. I never get worried if I make a mess of something because there's always some way to hide a goof. There's always some way to not sand a nub as well. Well done, Fox. Hello. Hello. It was made of Mudok bones. I'm Abe. Get him. Yeah, I'm doing Abe's Odyssey quotes now, and nobody's getting them at all. Never mind. Right, so that can go in there like that. Very nice. Get that glued on. This is the thing I'm finding with this. Everything does fit together beautifully. It's just the actual construction method is sometimes a little bit nebulous. There's a little bit of suck it and see about some of the way things go together. So this will then go on the back here like that, you see? It just, yeah, it's a shame you get all that detail and it just goes away. It goes away now, going away now. Going away, going away, going away now. Bye! Gone. It doesn't seem to want to fit very well. Which is weird. That sits on there like that. Okay, like that then. That sits on there. Gap down the side. It's not exactly the smoothest of connections. That looks good, but there's a bit of a massive gap on the side, but never mind. We'll live with that. I shall apply some cementulations. Hope this stays on. Be a bit generous with it. I need to get that glue in all the little areas. Ooh, my area. Bit of caterpillar action. But I think so far, I am enjoying this build. I've not found any of it particularly tedious or frustrating. I've not lost the will to live with it. So I think it's probably a good thing to say. I've not painted it yet, obviously. But I would not be surprised now if in the future I, you know, save up some pennies and buy like 3 of these to build and paint all in one go and then sell them all. And hopefully make my money back. Hopefully. Because that's how I need to earn my pay, earn my crust going forward. This whole side of this business I run, I've not had a chance to do anything with this year, so I need to work on that. So this turret, for example, here, there's a few little gaps and things in the connection points, which would wonderfully be covered up by things like bed rolls and netting, folded up netting, and just other things and bits and bobs and stuff I could cobble together. So I'll have to think about that. Things that I can add. There's my name in chat. Fox, cake decorators do the same thing. If you ever wonder why there is a random thing on a cake, it's probably hiding a fingerprint or something. Exactly. Chuck Norris says I shall have a look at something. What we're talking about. I hope you found what you're looking for. If not, I will ask. Where do you get plastic cards, sir? Says James Purcell. You can buy it from hobby shops online or just go on Amazon. I think I've got plastic card in my Amazon store. If you look in the description below this video, I've got links to my US, UK and Canada stores. I think I've got plastic card in there. But yeah, just do a quick, if you can't find it in there, just do a quick Amazon search for plastic card. One of the brands is called Evergreen. I do actually find it quite hard to find plastic card on eBay, on Amazon. But yeah, no, just do a search for Amazon, for eBay. Do a search for Evergreen plastic card. If you're more of a Gumpler builder, it's also called Plate or PLA, Plate. You don't need to call me sir, by the way. Just call me dude or buddy or idiot or dog breath. Call me whatever you want. You don't need to be so formal, though. But yeah, if I've not got it in my Amazon store, you can either drop me a line or just do a search on Amazon for plastic card. Ultimately, whenever you need something, if you can't find it anywhere else, you'll always find it on Amazon. Always the way of things. Oh, very quickly as well, I have to say, as an Amazon associate, I do earn from qualifying purchases. There you go. That's my arse covered. Yeah. By the way, Cole, if you need any advice about your Amazon store, let me know. Happy to help you out, dude. Oh, sniffly nose. These glasses. I do love these lenses, but the fact they give me the constantly sniffly noses. Noses? How many noses have I got? Small local hobby stores and hobby shops and model shops will also sell plastic card, especially if your local bricks and mortar hobby shop or model store is now one of those kind of model shops that mostly sells railroad and model railway stuff. A lot of old model shops when I was a kid that sold all Tamiya and paints and stuff, now they just sell model railways and remote control. That's the way the bricks and mortar side of the business has gone. And a lot of them sell like evergreen supplies because you use them for building scenery and stuff. So, but if you don't want to go outside because you know everywhere's closed right now, no, just go on Amazon. Also check out, if you're in the UK, don't forget of course emodels.co.uk, your one-stop shop for all your model making needs. Link in my description below the video. That's also they're my sponsor. They sell plastic card as well. If you're in the UK, go there. My sister is a cake decorator, says Lee. Got massively in trouble for using a blowtorch to sort out a cake. She looked up and there was burly security guard telling her off. What? Oh, turns out it's a massive no-no at the NEC. Wow. Mayhem saying, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Beyblade into a transformer. If you can make that into some sort of transformer, good luck with that. It's like a face, isn't it? That's like, I'm making a deathcore tank, and look, it's a deathcore face, 2 eyes, it's gas mask. Maybe that way. No, I think that way. It's like a deathcore gas mask, 2 eyes. There's the hose from the job. Apparently easy to do, according to Ted. Cut out the relevant spots in the hull. I want to see a radio control Baneblade, says Phil East. I can imagine it would be, to some degree, certainly easy in terms of there's lots of space to put things. The difficulty is, these aren't wheels that turn. They're literally half wheels on a strip of plastic. There's no actual turny wheels and axles. You'd have to completely build a whole set of wheels and axles. They're not wheels that you can just pop on an axle. They're just moulded onto a strip of plastic. Like those wheels there that run up against that bit there. That strip of plastic here, this bit of plastic here, that's part of the wheel. They just stop there. So yeah, you'd certainly be completely constructing from scratch the entire drivetrain and suspension system. So really all you'd be using is this part of armour and this bit of the floor. All this would have to be completely hand built, because these tracks are just chunks of plastic. So you could do it. I think it would be easier to take an existing remote control tank kit and scratch build Baneblade armour over the top. That'd probably be a lot easier, a lot less hassle. I've seen that done, and I have seen someone who's made like a 1/6 scale Baneblade, and I've seen him actually stand on the back of it and trundle along with him on the back. I saw that video. Yes sir, lol, says James. Yeah. I guess you could even kit bash one with a cheap remote control car. A kit bash one with a cheap remote control tank would be a lot easier. Yeah, we'll do. Still need to set up the actual storefront. Yeah, go for it. If you need to ask any questions, just give me a shout. I think it would need to be either wheels replaced or just have them hidden in the middle. Yeah, these, like I say, these wheels are not actually wheels. So it's it's a lot of ways. It's like a little one. You know when you get like the little 1/72 scale tanks, or the little 1/144 scale tanks, where they just have like the wheels are moulded into the mud guards or the armour, the skirt armour, and they're just moulded on a tracker wheel. It's like that. They literally are just like moulded on a strip of plastic with half a wheel. So you'd have to completely assemble the drivetrain. And at that point, you really are in the territory of why not just buy like a 1/16 scale remote control Panzer IV, like Tamiya job, or the remote control Abrams. That's nice and long. That would work, but it's also like 500 quid. And just scratch build Baneblade armour around it. You could do that. You could do that. In fact, I don't know. I don't know. If this was 1/35 scale, it probably wouldn't be that much bigger. It'd probably be about that big. So it's probably, you could kind of get away with a 1/16 scale Abrams, which is probably about this big. You can't see that. It's probably about that big. Because this isn't 1/35 scale, but Warhammer dudes are sort of 1/35 scale almost. They're like 1/39 scale, 1/40th scale. When you see them in realistic proportions, like the Deathcore, they're realistic proportions. So yeah, I don't know, maybe something like that. But then that's 500 quid for that Abrams. So yeah, maybe not. Fox has 3 noses on his face and 2 on his slippers. Not really, Fox. Depending on what they want to do, they could just hack a hole in the bottom and put a little RC mod and hide it. Yeah, you could do that. What you're saying is basically cut a hole here and have wheels underneath, like a toy thing. Well, I used to get the toy tanks and stuff with little wheels that you can't quite see, so they just idle a lot. Yeah, that would work. That would also work. It's a bit good get around. At least it would move around. Have a little set of wheels here, like 4 wheels. That would work. You could do that. I was going to do a remote version myself, as I mentioned last week, says Fester. Oh, cool. How are you going to do it on yours? Have you not figured that out yet? I was raised to say yes, sir, and no, sir. Yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Sorry, force of habit, says James. I'm going to guess you're in the US then, James. In which case, e-models will be no use to you. Amazon is your friend. Yes. And I got the answering machine open there. Hope they're open today, says Muse. Yeah, Colin, how are you going to do it on yours? Have you given it any thought? I mean, doing like the sort of remote control 4 wheels thing, sort of replace it, or having 4 drive wheels that just stick down a bit further is one way of doing it. Probably the easiest way. I agree with that. It would be possible to replace the entire drivetrain. Just replace these with wheels and tracks and have axles. Because the thing with this is, if you look at it, the axles are actually there. So the axles, they're not in. If you were to apply axles to this, there's half a wheel is there. So kind of a bit weird the way they've done that. You could do it, absolutely. It'd be well beyond my skill level. Reggie Modeler. I have seen a remote controlled Land Raider being used on the tabletop with moving tracks. Oh, cool. The scale should work about the same. You need to get a US sponsor. I'd love a US sponsor. Oh. But I suppose the difficulty is it'll work. Obviously, everything I do would have to angle towards US market, unless if they only shipped US, it'd be like, wouldn't make a difference, I suppose. I don't know. I'd love a US sponsor. I want all the sponsors in the world. Right, so we've done that bit on the back. We need to add the aerials and the exhausts. So I didn't get the... Oh, you spoon! You dribbling spoon, Fox. You absolute dribbling monster. Wait a minute. I cut... Oh, do you know? Absolute chundamuppet. I cut 3 handles off the sprue. I cleaned up one of them. Absolute butt trumpet, Fox, aren't you? Right, and I didn't get the aerials off the sprue either because I'm a total spoon bending nonsense. Right. Hello, my name is Fox. I'm going to do nothing today because I'm an idiot. I'm going to get all wrong and do all the wrong things and forget half the things I need to do. Oh, these are going to be tricky. Got to get these off the sprue without snapping them. Now, handy tip, if you've got something like an aerial or this kind of thing, not so much on these, but if that nub was there, this is the bendy bit, if that nub was there, you'd cut that one first, because when you cut this off or that off, it's going to bend there. It's difficult with this because there's nothing here to stop this bending, so I'm going to go from this end first, see what happens. You know, it bends up a little bit. What you need to do really is kind of hold it like that. It wants to bend. You have to stop it. Then you knock the microphone, and then I can do this middle bit here. If I do this bit here, it's going to bend there as a sort of fulcrum point. So I'll do that bit first. That bit's, if I did that bit before this bit, it will bend out that way and it might snap. You've got to plan these things carefully. And now I can go ahead and do the end piece there, you see? Properly. I kind of honed my understanding of the best way to trim tiny, thin, stretchy parts off sprues when I did the Bandai Millennium Falcon, because I had many such things. It was always a case of try and get the middle section, the middle piece done first, because when you snap the middle bit off, it can bend either way. You kind of get an instinct for which bits is the best to trim off. Which bits are the best to trim off. Whoa, bad English, folks. Good if you were brought up to say sir and ma'am. That's very polite. I like that. Good parenting, that is. Are you more towards the southern states than the northern states, I assume, then? Or are you I suppose, James, or where? But yes, you've been taught well to hang on. Especially saying it to my elders. Wait a minute, I take it all back. You rude person. How dare you? How very dare you, sir? Yeah, 10 points. 10 points for that. I'm always polite, especially to old people. Wait, what? How dare you? Yes. Especially rare for such politeness nowadays. Especially for someone to be brought up to say sir. I mean, over here in the UK, it's not a thing at all. You're not brought up to say sir and madam, sir and ma'am. I think it's more of a US thing, absolutely. You know, the only time in the UK here we ever say sir is when you're at school and you've got a school teacher who is always sir or miss. Don't matter if she's married. Female teacher was always Miss. It's really weird. It's like, you'd have a teacher who was Mrs. something, or like Mrs. Smith, but you'd still call her Miss. Excuse me, Miss. I don't know why, it's just the way. Teachers were always... There was something... When I was at secondary school in the 1980s, there was something incredibly wrong about referring to a teacher by their first name. Because it was Sir. 90% of my teachers at secondary school were male. It was a grammar school, so there were a couple of female teachers, but most of them were male. It was an all-boys school. And so all the teachers were just Sir. Morning, Sir! But then I left school in 1990, and about 2 or 3 years later, I just went back on. I was out doing something, and I thought, you know what? I'm near my old school. Why don't I just pop in and say hello? And I don't know why, because I hated being at school, so I don't know why I went back. There were some of the teachers I actually liked. I went back, and it was really weird because at that point, of course, I'm no longer a student there. So I could quite happily get away with calling my former art teacher Tim, or my former biology teacher John, or but I couldn't. I still had to call him. So my brain was like, no, it's Sir. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like 23 now. I can't call this bloke Sir. I'm 20. No, my brain couldn't do it. It was still Sir. Hello, Sir. Huh? It's very weird. It's just so ingrained to call my teachers Sir. And that was the funny thing. When you're talking to the teacher, it was Sir. When you were talking about a teacher, it was Mr. Whatever. Because again, even when you're talking to other students about a teacher, you wouldn't call, I wouldn't call the teacher John or Bob. I'd be Mr. Such and Such or Mr. Whatever. It's very rare that we actually even knew their first names. I think of them now, actually. Who was there? John Barton was a geography teacher. John Barton. There was Tim Shorten, who was an art teacher. There was John... His surname I can't remember. Who was a geology teacher. I liked him. I can't remember his surname, though. A lot of the names have gone now. It's like 30 years ago. But there was one exception to the name, to the using the Mr. Such and Such, like Sir when you're talking to them, Mr. Such and Such when you're talking about them. But the one exception was the deputy head, this guy called Roy Coleman, who was always just known as Roy, because he would. If I had to make him. There's no way to explain him other than to explain him by using somebody who was about as close as you can get, and that would be he was basically Marcus from Marcus Munitions from Borderlands, without the accent. Looked like had the personality of, but he was, for some reason, we were perfectly happy referring to him to each other. He was still Sir when you spoke to him, but when we talked about him, it was Roy. I don't know why. Very weird. Everybody liked him. He was all right. He was a good bloke. He died, I think, in the late 90s or early 2000s. He passed away, and so many former pupils went to his funeral. It was quite moving. I went. Many of my friends went. Wouldn't have done it for any other teachers, but for him, yeah. The place was packed. Can't remember the teacher's name now. Metalwork teacher was Mr. Thornton. He was the one that used to throw chairs and tables at you. If you talk in his class, chair bounces off your head. Ping. Yeah, shut up. He was a proper northern. Now we're going to weld these two pieces of metal. It was like Fred Dibney, but like from the Mirror Universe. So like evil. It was like evil Fred Dibner. He wasn't actually evil, but he was like Fred Dibner, but not soft and fluffy. Mr. Wingate was the woodwork teacher who was stuck in the 1970s. He kind of looked like Peter Sutcliffe in a way. But he was like Peter Sutcliffe, but with Bee Gees hair. And he taught woodwork, apparently. I don't remember learning very much in woodwork at all. He probably had the easiest lessons to teach in the world. Cut it, playing it, file it, there you go, done now, bugger off. I'm having my tea now, I'm having a cup of tea. 1980s British schools. Classic. Doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo. It was funny because if any of you out there remember, you might not remember, but if you're old enough, you remember the Nigel Molesworth books that were really products of the 1950s. Down with School and Back to School and that kind of stuff. It was where when I went to school, it was a grammar school, so it was kind of that environment, but it was the last days of that sort of environment in British schools. The last days of that sort of classic masters in gowns and things. It's like that. They didn't all wear, when you had like assembly in the morning, the teachers would be there with their gowns. It's kind of the last vestiges of that kind of traditional English grammar school kind of a thing. It's all totally different now. By the time I left school, it was starting to change over to the more modern side of it. They're more kind of run like businesses now, which is fine. Doesn't really make a difference as long as the kids learn things. But yeah, it was at the time I hated it, but looking back on it, sometimes I do have a fondness for it, for you know what was there and what it was like. Sometimes there were aspects that I probably did enjoy. I think now as I get older, I look back with fondness on many things that I hated at the time because they're just times when I was young and not old and falling apart. Yeah. I'd look back with fondness on having measles when I was 7 if it meant it was a time when I wasn't old and aching. Doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doop. I shall have a look at chat in a moment when I've cleaned up these components. How's the show been so far, folks? Is it looking okay? Is it sounding okay? I've not had my head in shot all the time, have I? I do get quite worked up about the quality of my streams, as I've said many times before, so please do let me know if ever there's an issue with picture quality or sound or frame rate or anything like that, or lags or burpulate. I don't got the burps today. Yeah, I've got the burps today. I used to not burp on camera because I thought it was rude, but now I do it because it's funny and I find it hilarious. Love me, love my burps. I still don't have a cat, but if I had a cat, I'd call it Burp. Because it'd be Burp the cat. And then it wouldn't just be a name, it'd be a name, a verb, and a noun. Yes, handy tip. I've said this before, and most of you will have seen this. When you have things that are ribbed, like here on this aerial, I don't know if you can see, you've got this kind of ribbed bit here, which is like a kind of almost like the sleeve around the gear shift. That kind of rubber sleeve. I always think of it like a kind of rubber sleeving on an expansion joint. That kind of bit that's ribbed like that, when you've got rid of the mould line around the aerial, you've still stuck with the mould line inside those little recesses. Don't try and get it out with the knife. Don't try and file it. Get yourself your scribing tool and just run the scribing tool down the recess. It'll gradually, slowly, do it very gently. It'll pick away at that mould line. But it will also, because it's a square edge blade, it will leave the raised parts of that rib texture perfectly crisp. Also great on plasma weapons where they've got the coil at the top. Anything like that. Expansion joints in the elbows or knees of the undersuit of Space Marines. Those kind of ribbed elbow and knee joints. Perfect for that. So get yourself a scribing tool. Doesn't have to be this one, but I love this one. It's got spare blades. Tamiya Scriber Mark II. Just get yourself a scribing tool. You'll find all ways of using it that you never thought of. But I find it invaluable now for getting rid of that mould line on those kind of like ribbed things. Like here where there's a little panel, there's a little gap between the two components on that antenna. I can just run it down that gap. Take out the mould line that's in them. Because if you prime and paint that, you'll have this beautiful crisp panel gap with a little mould line running down the middle of it. Going like that. Yeah. Also, it helps to make those edges straight again because I sanded them a bit and it softened them down. So it helps bring back the little crisp edge. So handy tip. Absolutely invaluable tool, that. Invaluable tool. Excuse me. Tickly cough. Right, here's where we snap some handles. Or not. I gouge my finger, one of the two. Time are we on? Oh, 5. Dear Lord. Need to work faster. I do apologise for the... 1 second, folks. Clear my throat. There we go. It's better. Not done a lot today, but we've had a jolly good time. Hopefully, you've had a jolly good time. I'm spending time cleaning things up. And it can take a while sometimes. So far on this tank, don't forget, of course, on this vehicle, it's been lots of big flat square panels. And they can be quite quick to clean up. Because you just sand the edge and there you go, done. When you start getting to little tiny fiddly things like these, this is when it starts to get a bit more tricky, but takes a bit longer and things start to slow down. Which is why sometimes figures can take a while. Because it's all the little bits you have to work around and clean up and trim. So, quite spot on, but that'll do, donkey, that'll do. Hey, ping, and it's gone. There it is. Hey, found it. Even with my lenses over my glasses and I can't see further than about a foot, I could still see it. It's almost like carving the nub away rather than scrape it, carving it away rather than nipping it away, because I can't quite get to it with the knife blade easily. And this nub down a bit, but I'm loath to use the tips of my nipper blades for obvious reasons. But it's in a concavity, it's in a recess, and I can't. It'd be very easy to go like that with the knife and just cut down the middle of it and slit it in half. Which would not be awesome. So I've just got to slowly, carefully work my way around the nub, trying to carve it away. There we go. I've lost so many of these handles in the past when doing this. It's like snap, snap, la snap. Oh, I had a whole sprue of these ones for something, and every single one snapped. I'm like, oh. Luckily, I had a load of extras, so in my bits box, the day was saved. If they just put the attachment point for the sprue on the outside of the handle and not, if they do it on that bit there and not on the inside here, life will be a billion times easier. I know you probably haven't seen any of this because it's so small. Well, you've probably seen it at the back of my hand, but life will be so much easier. I'll do. Okay. Let us apply these parts to parts. So we have the bit on the back there. Quick look at chat. Fox, I get snow flashing across my screen every now and then, like someone or something is trying to interrupt the signal. That'll be the aliens. Sorry. It'll be the CIA that live in my radiator, actually. Talking about schools. I'm off at home now. See you guys later on, says Mayhem. Thanks for coming in, my friend. You've probably already gone now. Butt Trumpet, says Peter Davey. I would love if you could get a US sponsor if E-Models worked out an easy shipping partnership. The problem with shipping to the US from outside the US is cost. What's that? Shipping stuff into the US, even before this year, has always been a nightmare because it's so restricted. And it takes a long time to fill out customs declarations and stuff because there's a million different things. And also, unless you ship a lot regularly to the US, you're going to pay a fortune through couriers. We used to do, but I did a job where we used to ship to the US, and it was a nightmare. Just because of all the customs requirements. Like if I'm shipping somewhere outside the EU, but not in the US, you'd fill out a little bit of a form that take 2 minutes. You send stuff to the US, it's like 85 different forms. Oh, sniffly nose. Just blow my nose, folks. 1 sec. Sorry about that. There's all kinds of bogulatory explodifications going on in my nose there. For some reason I don't quite know. Could you cut the sprue size around it, Fox? Candy Graham says I was thinking about that. Sprue size around what? What we're talking about? I don't know what we're talking about. I've already forgotten. Oh, you mean when you're trimming out these things? Yes. You could do that as well. Anything that reduces the stress on this is a lot better. If I've got a little piece of sprue stuck on like that, like a little T-shape, and I snip it off, it's not going to bend this, if that's what you're talking about. Growing up in South Africa, if I remember, if someone was 10 years older than you, you would call them aunt or uncle. Yes. Ja, bro. Nim says, I'm a miss, James Purcell, but I understand. Alabama, says James Purcell. Ah, yeah. And Nim says, you are Southern fried indeed. And he says, yes, sir, to Nim. And Nim says, I'm a miss. William's in Mobile, Alabama. It's Charles Barkley from Mobile. Don't know how to tag y'all like you'll do. All you do is type at and then their screen name. So if you do at, if you type at and start typing Phil, you'll get anybody in chat with the name Phil. Click on that name. And all it means is that when they see the comment, they'll see it. Like if I see like that there, you can see in chat, that's where somebody's put at model making guru. But when you start typing it in, it should give you a list of options to select anyway. Unless you're on a mobile device, it might not work. But just do at and then the person's screen name. I've been out of my high school for 15 years. I'm not ever going back. 15 years, says Nim. I graduated in 1992. I left secondary school in 1990 doing my A-levels. 30 years. 30 years ago. Let me just let that sink in. Girl Model Muse left in 86 and went to our 5-year reunion. Everyone was exactly where they thought they'd be. We didn't have school. Well, we do have them. I've never been to one. It's a bit old boyish nonsense. The only time I was tempted to go back was to visit a junior high teacher. He was a PE coach that insisted that he still be called coach in other classes. I asked him for science and he was terrible. He was the type that liked to shame students in class. I wanted to go back and tell him in front of his students what a terrible teacher he was and he made me hate science. I should have done that. It would be great. You'd start off by saying to him, I'd like to have a chat to your students and like get them, motivate them. Be like, yeah, go for it. And say, right, guys, your teacher is an arse. Here's why. How's your ouch mouse, Fox? Hey. We haven't had an ouch mouse in the garden for 2 years that we know of. Going back a couple of years, that. Are you watching on video content? Been a long time since we've had a hedgehog. Just kidding, all is good. I floated in and out of the groups. Some hated me for it, says Muse. What are we talking about? Doodle-doo-doo. Yeah, he was a complete tool. It was a lifetime ago. I loved the science despite that kind of teacher. Yep. Doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doo. I had an English teacher in junior 7th. I had an English teacher in junior high 7th grade, says EC, that got fired. He was so terrible. He was a tool. Need to get a scribing tool. I keep meaning to never do, says Dan. You do. I'm going to whiz through quickly, so pick out anything in chat now, because I've only got a little bit of time left. I don't play Warhammer, but I really like the Tron-like rectangular main gun on the hammerhead. Oh, that's the Tau stuff, isn't it? Oh, yeah. I think the hammerhead is a vehicle that once got a whole meme named the Fish of Fury named after it, because what you could do is you could park up the hammer. I think it was the hammerhead. Park it up in a battlefield and put all your dudes behind it, and it was kind of almost invulnerable. And it was called the Fish of Fury because it would I'd be a way for your opponent to cheese. If they were playing Tau and you were playing something else, you just cheese them by all standing behind it, and you couldn't do anything about it. I think that got fixed. My favourite name for a hedgehog actually got a robotic hedgehog kit for Xmas. Yeah, Ouch Mouse. I love it. It's good, isn't it? Ouch Mouse. Or Spiky Boys, they're also known as. Yes, I'm on cell phone, trucking my life away. Yeah, I think you can still do it. You just have to type @ and then start typing the name, and it should give you a list and just click the one you want. Oh, you've done it there. You go, just my favourite name for a hedgehog. You figured it out. There you go. Good girl. Hope you're not driving, by the way, while you're typing. Make sure you're pulled in. I miss playing Dungeons and Dragons. Been some years. Started back in '97. Right, we're up to date on chat. Let's get these things glued on. I'll put the aerials on last because pain in the butt if I don't. We'll get the handles. Handles for tanks. Go away, keyboard. Right, so these are fairly straightforward. But for the first time I've ever come across, they give you little recesses for the handles to go in. Normally, they're just kind of like, put them where you want. These just go in here like that, like that, you'll see. If they want to stand up, I'll put some glue in thol first. I'll do that bit first, shall I? Glue in one of them. I'll do both. I'll just get this lowered in. Oh, flange. It's difficult because it's difficult to hold the handle without the tweezers going below where the bottom of the handle is. And then getting in the way. There we go. Then getting in the way. One. Touch of glue. The brush on this Tamiya cement's gone forked at the end. And I hate when that happens. I've got 3. I've replaced it twice now in this bottle, the brush, and it still goes all spiky at the end. Drives me nuts. Get in. There you go. That was it. Handle finalmente. Yeah, on other tanks you just get like a bunch of handles and they're left to your own devices where you want to put them. You don't necessarily get attachment points. Handles for tanks are done. Yeah, let's make sure they're all straight. Yes, they are straight now. Yes. These sit on the side like this. Now, I probably will regret putting these aerials on now because they're just kind of things that will break. But having said that, they are Games Workshop antennae or aerials, which are like dead thick. They're not little spindly things that are going to snap in 5 minutes. They've got some diameter to them. So, hopefully, they won't snap off. And if I did snap them for any reason, I could probably quite easily glue them back on with extra thin. So, not so bad if they do break, but I'll try not to. The bane of every model kit is long sticky out bits. As Festo well knows with his helicopter's fueling tube. For his Chinook. Yep. I do like those antennae, they're great. Awesome. They're more like steel. They're like handrails made into antennae. How fat they are. That's that bit. And then we do the exhaust on the back of the Baneblading. So I shall get this little puppy back. We'll get this bit done. And then we'll be done for the day, I think. Now this bit you might not be able to see very easily because of the reasons. Because it'll be up in the air like that. So, not like that, like that. Right, so we have 4 exhausts. What I might do first... Oh no, I can do them first. So we have 4 exhausts and they sit on here. So 1, 2. Oh, that's easy. Oh, that's easy, that is. That's not difficult. That goes on there. It's these little slots here. That explains what those little slots are for. These 2 go on the top holes. Top hole? Oh, this is dawdle. Absolute dawdle. There you go. Ah! I call shenanigans. Glue in first, then apply the exhaust. Okay, understood now. Bit of glue in there. Bit of glue in there. I like doing exhausts. I like painting them because they're just rusty. In my mind, they're always rusty. And that's the way they're meant to be. Because this tank is going to be... It's going to be a venerable tank. It's going to be a Death Guard tank. But in my own head canon, it's 600 years. I know Imperial Guard and Death Corps and stuff don't tend to last that long. Like Space Marine vehicles can be hundreds or even thousands of years old. But I like to think that for some reason, unknown to me, somehow, this particular division of Death Corps still has a working tank from hundreds of years before. Somehow. Nobody knows how, because normally, you know, they're all dead by now, but maybe they've just been super successful and won all their battles. How can you, you know, who can know? Who can say for sure? Who can say? No one can really know anything for sure. Okay, so that's them exhausts on. Look at that. Yes, loving it. Oh God, I've just had a thought though. Are they going to in some way foul? No, they shouldn't do. Need to make sure I can still get this top piece of armour on. Yes, because it sits just behind. There we go. Perfect. Now we have the 2 little hooks and the little dingly dangly thing, which I don't quite know what this little dingly dangly thing is, but it sits in here. And it goes in this little tiny hole here, you see? You know what it's... Do we know what this is meant to be on the back? This little tiny little dingly dangly thing. It looks like it can be absolutely pain in the bum to put on. I'm going to tilt it up this way. So I know you can't see this, I do apologise, but... What is that? It's some little greeble that has a cable coming down, and it's... I know you can't really see it, really, but it's this little... I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It's clearly meant to be something that maybe is a thing that exists on real tanks. It's just such an incredibly specific little detail that it seems weird. If it was just some random greeble rather than something that's meant to be something. And now it's time for some hooks. get these hooks on. Get your hooks on. Hooks, 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 hooks. I don't know where I was going with that. I'll stop now. Oh, tickly nose time. They don't quite fit 100% flush, these hooks. But tricky to get them to fit straight and neatly. But again, they're going to be covered in mud and filth and dirt and filth and dirt and filth. Dirt. Filthy dirt and dirty filth. You dirty little thing. Also, you have to ask the question, what the hell would tow a Baneblade? It's twice as wide and twice as long as an Abrams. What the hell would actually tow a Baneblade? I would hate to see the size of the tank transport. I'd love to see the size of the tank transporter that would actually transport a Baneblade. Games Workshop, you need to make a kit of the tank transporter that transports Baneblades. That would be epic. Also very expensive. Right, I need to just sort my nose out because it's tickling. Right, so there you go. That is those bits on. I think that's all the little construction-y bits I've got to do. So I'm going to take my lenses off. This back on. And this is where I say, you know, this is where Games Workshop's strange pricing method has some advantages. Because if you remember, we've spoken about this before. Games Workshop kits, if you make them as a pure model maker, their pricing may make no sense whatsoever. Because when you get a traditional model kit, you know, the manufacturer's looking at how much did it cost to make, how many parts are there, you know, does it include photo etch, all this, that and the other, and that determines the price. So you get like little £20 kit that's got 5 parts, and you get a £100 kit that's got 1 billion parts. You pay more. The thing with Games Workshop is they don't work that way at all. Games Workshop is, it costs, how many of these can you afford to play in an army? Because each one of these, when you play a game, each unit costs X number of points. You might have a budget of 2,000 points in a game, and this might be 1,500 points. I don't know the actual point value. So in your army, you may only be able to have 1 Baneblade. So you're only going to buy 1 Baneblade. So they're going to charge more. If you buy grunt troops, like if you buy little grunt Cadian troopers and you can have hundreds of them, they're going to charge you very little for them because they know you need to have hundreds to play the game. But when you've got something that you're only ever going to buy 1 or 2 of, they're going to charge you more. So like 70, 80 quid this costs. And I think it's a good value for that. I think it's a bit of a steal because it's not like lots and lots of parts, but it's a great big kit and there's so much painting potential that, you know, it's bigger than a lot of 1/35 scale tanks. Yeah, it's not got moving parts and stuff, but who cares when it's a display queen? You make it as a display queen. It's a great big tank for 80 quid. And I've seen tank kits cost more from regular tank, you know, kit manufacturers that aren't anywhere near as much fun or detailed as this. So this kind of thing, it works out quite nicely actually, because it's more expensive because you may only ever buy 1 or 2 if you play the game. But I think it's not bad that what you pay for this. Yes, if it was a Tamiya tank kit for the same price, there'd be a lot more parts. But it makes no difference when it's a finished piece and you've built it and it's painted. Nobody can tell how many parts are in it. Right, so let's put that there. Let's look at chat. Nim's talking about getting enough confidence to DM. Noxious gas dispensers. People are talking about D&D. Retro Rabbit's in. Hey, Retro Rabbit, didn't spot you in chat there. Catch up with Paul about which parts of Canada they're in. Canada! I'm right on the border of Toronto and Mississauga. Mississauga? Have I got that right? Mississauga? I'm in Hamilton. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. You're across the lakes. Fox, tow hooks. Yeah, tow hooks on the front and on the back. Yep. Ball handles, toe hooks. Yeah, so it's like, I'd love to see what would actually tow a Baneblade. And if you haven't seen this before, I did show it a while ago, but just for the sense of scale, if I grab a Deathcore of Krieg Trooper, to give you an idea. Now, Deathcore of Krieg guys are great because a lot of Warhammer stuff is stylized. It's not normal human shapes. Like the Imperial Guard are kind of stubby and squat. Death Guard are kind of normal human shape. They're kind of just shy of 1/35th. They're more like 1/40th scale. But just to give you an idea of size of a Baneblade, that's how big a person would be. I know you can't really see there because he's... That's how big a person would be stood on a Baneblade. Have him sticking up out the turret. So you get the idea of how big a tank this would be if it was real. Great, I love it. Him there, standing on the top. Look at me, Ma, I'm king of the world, Ma. Yes, so there you go. That's how big a person will be. So how big this tank. You'll see when I get the figures. I've got some Deathcore Krieg resin figures to go in the turret, but I'll probably sort them out off camera. Or there's not a lot to do with them actually, so I might sort them out off camera. People about D&D. Don't know anything about D&D. I magnetised all the weapons and modded my Baneblade to easily configure and swap to all configurations, said Retro. So you made what's called the Octablade, which is all 8 variants. I'm far too lazy. Too lazy. I enjoy painting them so much. If I needed one with the Vulcan with a different gun on it, I'd just buy another one. Yeah, I wouldn't really. The reality for me is I'll probably never get around to playing the game anyway. So I like to think I will, but I probably never will. But if I do, I'll probably just use the Baneblade cannon and Devastator, Disruptor, Destruction, Demolition Cannon. That's it, Demolition Gun. I probably never will, though. I'm going to be realistic and say yes, I probably never will. I'd love to, but I might never get around to it. Also, Deathcore of Krieg Army. Yes. Fox, another Baneblade toes a Baneblade. Ah, I like the cut of your jib, sir. And the other thing, of course, I've got my Deathcore guys, but half of them were ones that were gifted to me because somebody else made them. And half of them are the ones I made that I never want to make them again because I hated making them. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever have enough to have a full-on army for Deathcore. I've got about 30, I think 30 dudes now. Maybe 35. I think somebody was... I was going to be sent some more, but that's not happened. So I've got about 30 dudes at the minute. So I will, over time, go and buy more on eBay that are pre-made. We'll grow it slowly, but yeah. Edward, thanks, Fox. Got to return to the grocery store. See you all later. Take care, matey. Thanks for coming. We're going to finish now anyway, but thanks for coming in, my friend. Maybe see you later on for Ted and Chris later on. But yeah, I think that's going to do us today. Because we're nearly at finishing time anyway, so let's call it quits there. Thank you to everyone who has been watching, of course. I hope you've enjoyed today's minimal building show. I will be back, of course, tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow, Monday, is the eModels Christmas special. It starts at midday GMT tomorrow, not 9 PM. We won't be doing a show in the evening. But midday GMT tomorrow, me, Chris, Colin and Ted will start our chibi builds. It might be 4 hours long, it might be 6 hours long, I don't know how long it's going to be. But we'll see how much we can get done. I've got to do some spraying while I'm filming, and it's like, I don't like doing that, but I'm going to have to do it. So I shall figure something out. Of course, don't forget tonight, Dad Scaly Models. Dad said he might possibly do a stream tonight, so it might be at 6:15. I don't know if he is for sure, though, but he said he might. Might just. So we shall see. It'd be nice if he did, but he might not. If not, though, Chris and Ted will be doing a live stream. Their WARHAMMER Sunday live stream. I think it's on Ted's channel, Skipper Scale Models, tonight. I think. I can't say for sure. It's either going to be on Ted's channel, Skipper Scale Models, or on Chris's channel, Gross Model. One of the two. That'll be at 9 PM, I think. So make sure that you've subscribed to those two channels to find out which one it's on and watch that. So I shall see you in the chat there. I'll be back on Monday, of course, for eModels. And then during the week, again, I'm going to try and crack on with the Tabletop Trauma Centre Lehman Russ. If I keep saying it and I keep not doing it. So, yeah, I need to get it on camera. There it is. I need to crack on with that and get that finished. All I've got to do is chip in a bit of weathering, but I'm like, I keep not having a chance. I keep getting sidetracked. So we shall see. Anyway, that's going to do us. Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. I will see. I might do some live streaming during the week, but stay tuned anyway. Don't forget, of course, if you want to support the channel, you become a patron at patreon.com/modelmakingGuru, or you can join the channel, become a member by clicking the join button underneath any one of my videos. Either way, you'll get access to advert-free content for a week in advance, and other little perks and things along the way. Do consider it. It helps keep the channel going, helps pay the bills, and makes this channel exist. Basically, without my patrons and channel members, I wouldn't exist. I would exist. The channel wouldn't. But do have a think about that and see if you want to help out. Until next time, I shall say take care of yourselves. I shall test if my buttons work.
Clap on.
Yes, buttons are fully functional.
Clap it on.
Well, there's always a bit of a hiccup the first time I press it. Take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome. Go enjoy your dinner. And until next time, I shall say adios, amoebas.